Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to my Warhammer 40k lore rant lecture presentation, featuring some very special guests. Thank you so much, that one guy Alex, for following. I really appreciate it. Oh god, you guys are already spamming. Wait, you guys are in my stream. You're trying to ruin my stream from the inside, motherfucker. Anyway, I have some very lovely guests. Thank you, Fives, for the follow as well. I can see you all waited to follow until I was live so that you would get attention for it. Good choice.
How
else
So
are you supposed
today
to do
with
it?
me, I have some really good VTubing friends. I've got Bone Miser, the Goblino.
Hello, hello. Good to see you guys.
I've got my nemesis, no need for grav, or I've got my nemesis, Grav. I'm not you.
Oh,
I'm
God.
my own worst enemy.
We are separate people.
Not the same person out of 10. And then I've got my good friend and artist of my model, Scully Sinful.
Hello, hello. How's it going?
Don't ask about his reactive PNG. He's already trashed. Don't spread heresy, as I will go into in the 40k universe. You'll be killed for that. And I have a homie who it is the first time we are collabing, but I'm really excited to have them, Spicy Skeleton.
Hey.
So, thank you guys all so much for the follows and all the redeems. 1 second. Ducky, get in here! Ducky!
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 Hope
Ducky!
she's not drinking out of the turlet again.
No, she's not drinking
Aw.
out of the toilet. She was just sleeping in my bedroom, which she does when
Okay.
I'm streaming her.
So you just screamed at her.
Yes, basically. That's what I do when I get the redeem. I'm petting her right now. He's already trashed. So, I said this was going to be a drunk lore stream. I've taken about 4 shots of vodka. You got a dog? Of course I have a dog. Her name is Ducky, and she is a phenomenal dog. And I have some whiskey sitting here with me. Now, I will say, I do like very strong whiskey. I like the taste of it. God of Mochi, thanks so much for the follow. So this whiskey is about 100%, 100 proof or 50% alcohol. Wheat or potato vodka? It was potato vodka. Anyway, so the plan for this stream is to give everyone a Mimi shitposty, but still somewhat. Hey Vex, how are you doing? Love to see you in chat. Hope you feel better soon. I know you're feeling a little bit under the weather right now. But the goal for this stream is to give about 2 to 3 and a bit hour kind of shitposty fun introduction to Warhammer 40k lore. 40k is something that I really fucking love, and I'm an absolute goddamn nerd for. And a lot of people seem to be sort of like nervous about getting into it, which from a money aspect they totally understand, but from a lore aspect they do a phenomenal job. They have their own publishing company, they write their own books, and some 40k books, they're not all winners, I'll be honest, but some 40k books are some of the best books I've ever read. If you are a 40k nerd in my chat right now and you know The Infinite and the Divine, one of the funniest, most entertaining books I've ever read. It's literally about 2 Necron lords just fucking each other over for like 10 million years straight. It's a phenomenal book. It's so fun. But anyway, so I think it's pretty pertinent to, when you talk about 40k, kind of give a primer. So first things first, we're going to get started and say that yes, 40k refers to the fact that it is in the 41st millennium, aka between the year 40,000 and 41,000 BC.
Jeez.
That's
AC.
a lot of years. Damn.
That is a lot of years.
Oh, yeah.
Wow,
There
I'll be
is
dead as hell.
there is only war, and when I say that, I mean the entirety of the Milky Way galaxy is either owned by a faction who is at war with someone else, being fought over, or wasteland, like literal fucking wasteland.
Man, I love Gundam.
Yes, right? Humans, there are untold billions and trillions. The humanity has grown to such a point that our army is in the literal billions. And I don't mean like 7 billion, I mean hundreds of billions. There are conflicts that happen in the actual billions. And basically, because we have explored so much, holy shit, I did convince 4 people. I don't know how, but it's gonna be a fun time.
Hi,
That
Paul.
was like the whole thing. It's like I nervous of like to play the game because it's like
Yeah.
expensive, but the lore in itself is actually pretty cool.
It's so dope.
It is.
Also, I'm going to be using a lot of 40k art, mostly 40k like actual licensed art, but some fan art. The art of 40k is on average phenomenal. It's super duper good. But and the horrors of the galaxy are constantly present. And what I mean by that is, the more knowledge you get of goings on, the more you realize that basically the human race is fucked. It's really, really bad. There's constant shitstorms going on. There's demons. There's Xenos, which are named for aliens. If you're a human, unless you are an officer or a high-ranking person, your life just does not fucking matter. Period.
Oh.
So, shit sucks, yo. It ain't great. So, the lore of 40k starts pretty damn close to the actual beginning of time, or the timeline. And to understand 40k, you need to understand something that is called the warp. The warp is like a second dimension almost. It is a plane that is right touching ours, and the thing you have to understand about it is it's a plane of cognition. And it is connected in some way to almost every single sentient race's brain. So every thought, every feeling, when you're in love, when you hate someone, all of that energy gets filtered to this space. The problem being that, as you all might know, elation and hate, you feel angry often, or you feel more extreme anger more than you do extreme happiness. Things like wars, things like famine. So over time, it turned into this kind of empty place with a lot of energy into basically literally hell. Because all of the negative energy coalesced and things got fucky wucky. That's
just the 5G towers, man.
Basically,
Oh my
yeah. So
it kind of reminds me of like the alternate world from Berserk.
Yes,
so
a little
bit. I think I get the concept.
Yeah.
So, in order to talk about how we got to where we are, you need to go back to a small event called the War in Heaven. Now, before humans, before even most of the races that are ancient that we will be talking about, there were two sort of groups. There were the old ones, who were incredibly intelligent and magically adept frog people. And then there were the Catan. The Catan are like sort of energy beings. Imagine like star ghosts. And they really didn't like each other, mostly because, you know, that even the good emotions become part of chaos. Yeah, exactly. I'll get it. Sigrid, don't worry. I got you. I'll get into that. Everything in time, don't worry. And they didn't like each other, mainly because they were both like literally god tier powerful, and they were kind of just existing in the same space. So things kept building and building and building until videos in background did work, fair enough. Until something tipped. And one of the things that helped tip the scale into war, what was later called the War of Heaven, was a race called the Necrontyr. Now, the Necrontyr, it is a miracle that they survived as long as they did. They lived on a giant fucking irradiated desert planet. They were died far before. They were like much younger than humans, but they thrived and they got stronger and they got stronger, and they eventually kind of adapted to their very fucked up world and gained space travel. And they were, other than the old ones in the Catan, basically one of the first races to do this. And the thing you have to know about them is that being a Necrontyr sucked. Like, they all died of cancer, basically. All of them.
Christ.
They were all decrepit. They were all aged far faster than a normal person. Life being a Necrontyr was not great. However, they had a lot of cultural history and heritage and warriors and scholars and all this crazy stuff. So they approached the old ones and were basically like, hey, we know you're fucking gods. And they were like, yeah, thanks for noticing. And they were like, our lives suck. And they were like, yeah, you're right. And they said, can you make us immortal? And they were like, what do you mean? It's like, we don't want to be in pain constantly anywhere. we want to be immortal and we'll work with you, but like we also like we want to be freed from this constant pain. And the old ones were like, Lamau, no. So
Yeah.
then they approached the Catan, and basically the Catan were like, we've got a solution for you. We're gonna turn you on the fucking robots.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
thank
this
God.
event
Yeah.
happened called the Transference, where
Good.
basically all of the Necrontyr that didn't die were converted into what are now known as the Necrons, aka Roboskeletons. Now, there are a few problems with this. One, it's very Ghost in the Machine. A lot of Necrons don't believe they have a soul now. They were also kind of tricked into being slaves for the Catan because they're robots. It's just going along with it like the Necrons. It is bad. It's very bad overall because while they did become immortal and that promise was held up, they basically lived as constantly rebuilding immortal robot slaves. So hashtag fuck the Catan.
Okay.
So then, you know,
Down
everything kind of seems bad, but here comes the fucking ancient frogs from the chair with the top rope, and they genetically engineered 2 races to fight for them as well. By the way,
Okay.
if you're a 40k nerd in chat and I've said something wrong, I literally don't care. Even the lore doesn't agree on some of this shit.
Wow.
So I'm just gonna have a fun time. They created the predecessors to the modern day orcs, who were basically the hammer. They are fungus. They spread and grow very quickly. They have this innate ability to get more powerful the bigger the fight around them is, and they fucking love fighting. It's like all they think about.
Wait, they're made out of fungus?
Yeah, they are literally fungus creatures. I'll get a little bit more
Oh
into
my
that
God.
at the end when I do the explanation of the modern day orcs, but they're literally a genetically engineered life form that were like the soldiers. They were the shock troopers and stuff. And then you had the Eldari. Now, Eldari are basically just space elves. Space elves
Okay.
also in the fact that they have a really good connection with the warp. And when you
Oh, no.
have a very good connection with the warp, you get to do warp magic. Now, the thing about warp magic is you can channel energy through your brain, or the sentient people that are connected to the warp can anyway, when they learn
Okay.
how and they have certain genome type stuff, in order to cast spells and make shit happen in real life. Basically, you are channeling emotional and raw energy from this demon plane into our world to do shit. And the Eldari were really good at it. They had more psychers, which are what magicians are called in this universe, than most other races. They were incredibly strong, and they acted as kind of the tacticians, the support, the complement to the orcs' raw power, basically. Incredibly smart, incredibly adept. Very good magicians. They were so good, in fact, that they could use the warp to make what they call wraithbone, which is a material that's incredibly strong, made from pure warp magic. And they used it to make various mechs and stuff like that.
Okay, so they're building robots out of shit from the hell dimension?
Exactly.
Okay.
So basically, the space frogs lost. There was a big war, and it was pretty close. But
No!
the Catan eventually beat the space frogs. However, their genetically engineered races left on. Some people in the lore claim the old ones are still there. They might be, I don't know. We don't hear a lot about it. But they lost. They're not a force in the universe anymore. However, the Catans still were. Until the Necrons were like, you made us slaves, you dumb bitch. And their leader, which came to be known as the Silent King, led an uprising against the Catan. Catan are like energy beings, like I said. So they split them up into shards, these like god tier powerful people, and basically now use them as batteries and as war weapons via controlling them. And so they had, in the ultimate irony, they enslaved the people who originally enslaved them and did this awful thing. However, they could never go back to being the Necron tier. They were stuck as the Necrons. So, throughout all of this, they take over the Necrontyr, and they sort of take over the galaxy, apart from a small Eldari space and Orc space that was still there. And they became the most powerful force in the universe and decided to go into a sort of cryostasis. Basically, they, and all of their different home planets for their different clans and everything, they all went to sleep, with some exceptions, in order to keep things going and make sure everything was fine. And that one day they would wake up again, fight whoever the main power was in the universe, and take it over fully for the Necrons, effectively. So the Necrons went Betty
They went
Bye.
into sleep mode.
Yes. So this is the rise of the Eldari. The Eldari were still kind of around. They were incredibly fucking powerful. Like I said, they were incredible mages. They lived longer than humans. They felt emotional energy way, way more than the average, I guess, human, you would say. And that gave them really good control over the warp. So they very quickly took over what was left from the Necrons. You know, they're emotional. They conquered basically the entirety of the fucking galaxy. They're space elves, like I said, and they're horny. We'll get into that bit in a second.
Let's
I don't
go.
like that last
We'll
point
get into
there.
that bit in a
Yo.
second.
Oh my god.
So, unfortunately, the Eldari did have to fall. Effectively, what happened is the Eldari conquered everything. And these are space elves. They live in the hundreds to thousands of years. So they kind of just, as an entire society, got bored. They had no real enemies because they conquered everything and the Necrons were asleep. They had no real drive to improve themselves because they were at the top of everything they did. And so they kind of started suffering from cultural decay. One of the main ways that this happened, and I promise you this is real, is since Necrons felt emotion much more and more powerfully than normal people, they also felt things like pain and love and all sorts of shit way more powerfully. So they started this kind of civilization shift towards spending a lot of time in brothels.
So they all just went on coke-fueled orgies.
Both of you are correct, Scully and Grav. Yeah. They started... It was a slow thing that happened over thousands of years, but they started not care. It was fall of Rome type shit. They got so obsessed with art and having sex with each other that they started decaying and decaying. And the problem was, that was Scully has a soundboard, Paul. That's where it came from.
I see.
The problem with
that
that
was me.
is when you live for like 400 years and you innately have much more of an emotional range and a feelings range and things like that, things get boring quickly, you know? And things that will last an entire human a lifetime won't for them. So things started escalating and escalating and escalating. And there were a few forces at play that tried to stop this. First of all, everyone who was smart and was like, shit's getting real fucked up, left. They built these giant planet-sized spaceships called craft worlds, which we will talk about later more in depth, and just got the fuck out of Dodge because they were like, this is not cool. And various scholars and artisans and stuff were like, hey, we used to be this incredibly intelligent, culturally relevant civilization, and we're just decaying. Like, it was
now y'all fuck too much.
It wasn't. Well, see, but this is the problem. It started going to brothels, and then it went to hardcore BDSM brothels, and then people started. This is in the lore. Murdering each other live on stage and paying to get killed in exuberant ways just to feel something new.
Oh,
So it's Hellraiser.
Sort of,
like,
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like Cenobites.
Yeah.
That's pretty fucking cool, actually.
Yeah, no,
Let's
it's
go.
very. But the problem is that as a whole, the Eldari didn't listen. So here's where we get to the first intergalactic whoopsie doodle.
Hey, yo.
That's a lady.
So as I've said, right? The warp are planes of cognition, right?
Right.
And Eldari had a very good connection to these planes of cognition, right?
Mhm.
And they also felt emotion stronger than
Uh-oh, I see where
everyone
this is
else.
going.
So, yeah, so when an entire race that covers, like, living-wise, half of the fucking galaxy all starts becoming decaying, and that's a Thade, Gravy Q. I'll explain that in a second. Stop jumping the gun, you fucking nerds.
Oh, I see.
Well,
My
all
bad.
that energy gets filtered into the warp. And the warp was already fucked up, and we're about to talk about that. But when a bunch of energy collects in the warp of a similar, I guess you'd say, type, you start getting what are called daemons. Daemons are energy from the warp that have coalesced and kind of been made manifest.
Mm.
Okay.
For the Hellraiser example, Scully, it's like how Hellraisers get fuel from experiences and stuff like that. That's kind of what demons are, except they can never really die because they're just pure energy and emotion and shit like that. Well, the problem is when you're an
Rad.
entire race doing that, and like a third of you are already innately magical, and you
Right.
start getting more and more decrepit, all that energy coalesces and builds together, and they gave birth to the fourth demon god. We'll talk about the other three in a second. Slanesh.
What? Where'd the other three come from?
Well, don't worry, we'll
The
get there.
Thicky! I know this one. This is one of the only
Slanesh-
things I know.
Slanesh is the non-gender specific demon god of excess. And
Okay.
when they were born, they created something called the Eye of Terror by literally the warp invading real space.
Oh.
Because
Jesus.
their birth caused a lot of fucking shit to go wrong. All of the Eldari, because of their connection to Slanesh, were fucking... I mean, they were screwed. It is said in the actual lore that the first breath Slanesh took, their inhale, was almost exclusively the souls of the Eldari who had not yet escaped.
Oh.
What the fuck?
Whoopsie.
And Eldari, had some gods at the time. Gods who they believed in and they kind of built up, who were as powerful as gods, but none of them were powerful enough to stop the amount of fucking energy they gave Slanesh. And most of them were killed in a
Right.
very bloody conflict where the demons of Slanesh invaded real space and fucked shit up. Needless to say, in the span of about 2 weeks, the Eldari went from a literal galaxy-spanning civilization to... I mean, they're just gone. Ghost
Wait,
towns,
2 weeks?
ghost cities. The timing is
Wow.
not very clear on it, but it's an
Okay, so-
incredibly short amount of time. Like,
That's a lot
Slanesh
of-
existing can feed on the souls of the Eldari because of their connection to them.
I see.
So they have this problem now where whenever an Eldari dies, their soul doesn't go to the warp. Their soul doesn't go to their heaven or to any of their gods. Their soul goes straight to Slanesh.
Okay.
And as you can imagine, given that I used the word demon god, they don't end too well.
No.
It is also important to state that this Eye of Terror, I think a picture of which is in the bottom right, is not like a small opening in real space. It's about like a fifth of the Milky Way is just fucked.
Oh my god.
Is not in the warp, but it might as well be for how many weird shit and how easy it is to pass into unreal space there. It is dead. There are people who live in and near there in modern 40K, but it is basically like living on the doorstep of hell. Now, I use the word demon god Slanesh. Before Slanesh, there were 3 other demon gods that had been fed by the Eldari, by the old ones, and stuff like that.
These are funky dudes.
They are very funky. I love the design of them. There are 4.
They look really cool.
They are super cool. There's Siege, who is the god of, how you would say, change. But also the god of manipulation and magic and all sorts of stuff.
Mhm.
He is the blue boy. His symbol is often very connected to birds. Zinch, wrong,
Oh.
it's Tzeech. Nurgle, who is the fat boy.
Nurgle?
Nurgle is the demon
Nurgle?
god of decay and corruption and stagnation.
Okay.
Think of him like the god of entropy. Everything
So-
dies, everything gets diseased, everything is killed, and it all goes back to Nurgle. And then there's Khorne. Khorne is the demon god of blood. Think a little bit more stereotypical Satan. Khorn.
Okay.
E.
So not like the band?
Not like the band.
Yeah.
Not the no, it's a different thing. I love the demon gods. I think they're super cool, so I'm gonna stay on this slide for a bit. But all four of them, like I said, were kind of created by just coalescing of energy from cognition. Tzeech was people's fear of change, fear of magic, people conniving and scheming to improve, and stepping over other people while they do. Nurgle was the innate fear that everyone has of disease and death and stagnation and things never changing. Khorne, I am saying it. You guys are being so rude to me during my presentation, chat. What the fuck?
Oh yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Khorne is blood, war, death. He sits on a bronze throne on top of a pile of skulls. The saying that everyone knows, blood for the blood gods, skulls for the skull throne, that's Khorne.
Oh, so that's where that's from.
That is where that's from. And then obviously you have Slaanesh, who is the demon god of excess, of over the top. People call her the sex, murder, drug party one. That's not correct, but it's also not incorrect. You know what I mean?
That's hot.
Slaanesh
Yo,
is
girl.
also referred to by different genders depending on what race and what story. Slaanesh is called She Who Thirsts. Slaanesh is also called the Demon Prince of Excess.
Huh.
Their gender is in question. I believe they're agender, or they just don't
they do
have
whatever they
one.
want.
Whereas I believe the other three are referred to mostly by male pronouns.
Okay.
But the thing that is interesting about what 40K does is, and you'll see this theme go on, is that 40K is not good versus evil, because everyone's kind of evil. 40K is lawful versus chaotic. For instance, Tzeech is the demon god of basically chaos, of plans within plans, of magic, but he's also the demon god of change. And if everything stayed the same, life would be pretty dull. Or Nurgle. Nurgle is the demon god of death, but also the certainty of death. You know? And he is often described by people who worship him and follow him as Grandfather Nurgle because he just wants to experiment with diseases and stuff like that.
Grandpappy Nurgle.
Yeah, Grandfather Nurgle.
He's
Khorne!
got some of the grossest caramel in his pocket for you.
And Nurgle has some renewal elements to him. It's like a fungus. Things dying so that they can be reborn. Khorne is the demon god of war and blood, yes, but he's also the demon god of honor. Khorne is not the type of person, a follower of Khorne is not the type of person to sit on the sidelines and throw magical spells at you. They're going to stab you in the chest. Not the back.
Respectable.
The chest. Peepaw Nurgle, exactly. And Slaanesh, Slaanesh is the god of
Nurgle.
excess, but without Slaanesh, it is implied that we wouldn't have a lot of stuff like music.
Huh.
Like dance, like celebration. So a lot of them have good elements to them. It's just kind of what I went to say with humans, people, sentient beings. We tend to feel negative emotions stronger than we feel positive ones, or at least more often. You can probably think of the last time you've been enraged at someone easier than the last time that you felt elation about an event that happened. That kind of thing. Not to mention war and decay and death. All of these things feed them. So they aren't necessarily evil. They're bad. really bad, and they kind of want to take over the Immaterium, which is like our realm, but they're not. They're necessary. They're there for a reason. I mean, the warp, like I said, is a plane of cognition, so all of these things came about somewhat out of collective consciousness and what we were thinking about. And not so to say that we're responsible for the demon gods existing, even though we kind of are, but more though that like they're universal constants that are in the brain of every living thinking creature. There's just period. So they represent the pure chaotic. So anyway, back to the Eldari getting fucked. Like I said, Slaanesha's first breath literally kills somewhere between billions and trillions via soul consumption. The Eldari gods, real gods by the way, all die with some exceptions, and the race is now effectively, the entire race that used to conquer the stars is on the back foot. In modern 40k, the Eldari are a effectively dying race.
Ah, I see.
They obviously don't want to die, and so they fight and everything, but they are a shadow of their former selves.
Hmm.
And all
Brutal.
of these things set the stage for humans and also other things.
Uh-oh.
I think the popular elder god is the one dying, right? Yes. I'll talk about some of the other gods. I like how you didn't spell dying right. Shut the fuck up. So we now get to talk about humans, and you can't talk about humans in 40k without mentioning the God Emperor of Mankind. Now, a lot of people think that the God Emperor of Mankind was born later. That is not true. The God Emperor of Mankind was part of a group of humans that are sort of ascendant. Not quite gods, but pretty fucking powerful. And they were collective reincarnations of dying shamans who used a sort of ritual to enhance their power. All you need to know right now about the God Emperor of Mankind is that he's super powerful, he's quasi-immortal, and he fucks good. Anyway.
Bitch.
He's
As-
like, isn't he like pretty much the Giga Chad of mankind?
Yes.
Yeah.
Seems that way.
Alright, shit.
So, he's not just strong. He's smart.
Mhm.
He's
good.
powerful, and his magic is like at a tier never before seen before. Shooting lightning out of your hands and like lifting stuff with your mind, pussy shit. This dude can look at someone and they are inherently want to just kneel in front of him because his psychic presence is so strong.
Oh my god.
Mm.
And throughout history, from before our age into around the late 20th, early 20,000th, early 30,000th century, he starts to kind of lead and put his fingers into the goings on of mankind. And he notices that what kind of happens is that how when mankind spreads out among the stars, they do very well, but they start getting disconnected. They get fragmented. And the Emperor is one of the few people alive at his point that knows that like chaos is a thing.
Okay.
And so he decides that he's going to kind of try to lead mankind into a better era. But he needs troops and he needs generals. And he can't find anyone who's nearly as powerful as him that wants to help him. So he has this like weird clone sex thing with another like primordial being who's like a woman. And he creates after some deals with chaos to help him find this woman and do all the weird magic thing, he creates the Primarchs.
Okay.
The Primarchs are like clones of himself, but think of it more like different aspects of the Emperor contained in like a body. They're basically demigods. They grow super quickly. They live for thousands of years. They're incredibly, ridiculously overpowered. However, in doing this, the Chaos Gods realized that he's kind of reneged on their deal about not building up a giant army to try to fight off chaos for when they take over the material realm, and they get pretty pissed off. Now, the Emperor is not the best guy, and
You said no takesies backsies.
Yeah, they did, and their mom kind of realizes that he will breed them to be mindless killing machines. Good generals, and not like necessarily awful people in the context of their care about their fellow man, but mindless killing machines. So the Chaos Gods manipulate and fuck with the brain of their mom, and she helps the Chaos Gods teleport them throughout the galaxy. In comes the daddy issues. Because you see, he realizes that he needs now to find his sons. And to find his sons, he needs to do a crusade across the galaxy to unite humanity and find all of the Primarchs.
Okay.
However, he needs an army to do that. And normal people, they're okay, but they're not really going to cut it for this. So... Wait. So he creates an army of mostly normal people, but he also needs something more special, and those are the Space Marines. Let me really quick give you
There we
a
go.
quote
All
about
male,
the Space
no
Marines.
penis.
Yes.
Oh man, nope.
17 testicles.
So, yeah, don't worry. This is a quote from the Emperor of Mankind describing the Space Marines. Let me see if I can actually get a better version than the one I had, because it's now smaller than what I originally thought. And it is, well, whatever. They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give of themselves to me. Like clay I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war forge them. They will be of iron will and steely muscle. In great armor I shall clad them, and with the mightiest guns they shall be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease. No sickness will blight them. They will have tactics, strategies, and machines so that no foe can best them in battle. They are my bulwark against terror. They are the defenders of humanity. They are my Space Marines, and they shall know no fear. Which is dope, right?
Badass.
But effectively what he did is he took some samples he had of the Primarch DNA, and he took normal-ish people, and he used this DNA in a process that I don't think has been fully explained in the lore to turn normal people into these super soldiers. But they're also like 13 years old. There's plenty of war crimes in 40k, Paul. They're an all-male monk order, basically. Split into groups based off whichever Primarch they consider their quasi-father / leader. And they all gain different abilities, resistances, and things like that based off their Primarch father. But for the most part, what you have to know is they're just humans, but better. They're like 8 feet tall minimum. They have multiple livers that are all jazzed up to filter poison out of their blood. They have multiple hearts and more than 2 lungs to protect them in case something goes bad. They have a reinforced skull, and their bodies... and their yes.
Oh my god.
And their bodies are equipped with cybernetics that allow them to link into their armor so that it's like skin to them. To quote an enemy of the Imperium of Man describing the Space Marines in combat, nothing that big should be able to move that quickly. Thank you so... Yo, Kaiju Fluffs! Thank you so much for joining the Tentacle. Lovely to have you. I'm actually, if you all don't know... Paul, can you shout out Kaiju Fluffs, please? They're a phenomenal VTuber, and I think you all should watch them. Buggers. We're just doing a 40k lore stream while I'm drinking.
So don't they also spit blood? Or no, spit acid?
Yes. Because of how their internal anatomy is, they can spit fucking acid. Thank you so much. Are they a dragon? No.
They a dragon.
Like the Giga Chads.
They are like, so for every 1,000 normal soldiers, there is like 1 Space Marine.
I don't.
Okay.
So there's a lot of them, but there's in comparison, there's not many. And like I said, they're broken up into chapters based off the Primarch they are based on. There are 18 Primarchs. They're broken up into blue and red. Don't worry, that is not foreshadowing. Do they ever vomit acid in combat? Actually, Bone Miser, yes. There is a scene in a book I read about a Space Marine fighting off an assassin, and the assassin has been specifically built and tuned to be incredibly good. And at one point, the Space Marine grabs her, holds her close to her chest, and spits acid into her eyes to blind her.
Holy
Metal.
shit.
Right.
What the fuck?
Yes.
That's cool.
What the fuck?
And the interesting thing about these Primarchs is that all of their legions were set up before they found them again. But as soon as the Emperor found his sons, his Primarchs, they were put in charge of these groups. Some of them did a great job. Some of them didn't do a very good job. Some of them are the Primarch of the Salamanders, and I love them because they're actually one of the only fucking nice people in this goddamn universe. Anyway, and for a while, the Crusade continued, and they united almost all of humanity. Which, considering we were at a galactic scale at this point, pretty damn good. Then this motherfucker showed up. This guy's name is Erebus. As you can see by his half smile, the fact that he is bald and he has weird writing on his head, he was a villain. You see, he was the second in command for the chapter of Space Marines known as the World Eaters. And he started being like, yo, these demons, pretty fucking cool actually, and can make us really fucking powerful. So let's all hang out with them and just all fall to chaos. And he started pulling strings and manipulating things and basically being a massive bald cunt. Who, yeah, just kind of ruined everything. And then unfortunately, Horus, who was the second in command for the army, fucking died. And Erebus kind of manipulated his... Oh, thank you so much for the sub, Chaotic Clef. His followers into bringing him back with basically demon magic, and he was not the same. Horus before this was a phenomenal leader. He was literally like the second in command, maybe third, for the entirety of mankind. And one of the reasons that him falling to chaos was so bad is because everyone kind of liked him. He was very nice. He was good friends with a lot of his brothers, which most Primarchs weren't. And he was a very good strategist. But, as you can see in this picture, his lights go from white to red, and then he becomes some weird demon thing, gets black armor, adds spikes. He became effectively one of the first Chaos Space Marines. And like I said, the problem was a lot of people liked Horus. And he was one of like 3 Primarchs that wasn't really a cunt. So he kind of was able to convince a lot of other Primarchs to fall to Callus.
We'll go together.
Oh,
okay?
Paul's doing
this
the
kind
shadow
of
chain
sounds
real
like
quick.
heresy.
Not with that voice, I ain't.
Oh, he's shouting out Bone Miser too. Oh, you're playing Planet Side. That's different.
What are you guys doing?
Oh, that's your old model too. Damn. By the way, Bone, love your new model, homie.
Oh, it's awesome, dude. Got it like a week ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dan's really knocked out of the park.
I'm sorry, his noise.
Pardon me.
Hey, CK Proto. Oh, and now you're shouting out Spicy.
Funny for this stream chat. I think it's a world record that hey Spicy, what do you beavers build? What do beavers build?
Damn, spicy.
We all set?
I think we're all set. Spicy farted. I can smell it. Oh god, he smells so bad. Is Raging Aether from your chat Spicy?
Yeah, the little stinker.
Yeah. And as I kind of went into previously, a lot of the fucking Primarchs kind of had dad issues because the Emperor wasn't a really good father. So when Warmaster Horus was like, yo, I'm not a cunt, and I want you all to join me to fight this dude who we all kind of agree is not the best. Well, lots of people listen. And there's the fall of some of the Primarchs is honestly some of the best story part of 40K, but I literally can't get into it because we're not even halfway through the major lore and we're 45 minutes in.
Oh my
Let's go.
Let's go. There's a lot of lore in 40k. So roughly about half, about half of the Primarchs fell to chaos.
Half the dudes.
Half the dudes. Mostly
Okay.
either the really long hair ones or the bald ones. Which, you know, if you don't want to be evil, just don't be bald. Fun fact of the day.
Grow hair, forehead.
Yeah, grow hair.
Invest in wig.
Yeah. So the Horus Heresy started. And the Horus Heresy was effectively a 9v9 Primarchs with the Emperor on one side match to take over, to murder the Emperor and control humanity. Logar was a crybaby bitch. You're not wrong, but I can't get into that right now as much as I want to because it'd be like a 15-minute sidetrack. And
Convince him.
a lot of this happened slowly until an event called I think it's the Istvan 3 massacre, where basically the people who followed Harris, his chapter of Space Marines, went bad, and then other bad Space Marines, thank you, UF Crow, for joining the Tentacle, put out an alarm saying, hey, these people have fallen to chaos and are defecting. We need help to fight them. And the 3 or 4 good chapters of Space Marines went on to help this planet. And they were supposed to get backup. Unfortunately, the backup were people who had already fallen to chaos. And in that event, all of the people who were not demon-worshipping fuckbags in the chapters that were falling to chaos were sent to the planet, and then the planet was more or less glassed. Some people survived, but most of them didn't. And it was a huge blow. We're talking about chapters of Space Marines going from like the tens of thousands to 1,000 or less just because of this event.
Damn.
It was a problem. So you had the demon side versus the good in quotation marks side, one led by Horus, one led by the Emperor, and eventually they fight their way to Terra, which is Earth. Terra is the center of the human empire, and it's where the Emperor was. There was lots of manipulation going on, like I said, people not knowing who was on what side until basically the very end. And the Alpha Legion, who are like my favorite Space Marine chapter, who were like their special was basically being spies and undercover agents, stuff like that. To this day, nobody really knows what side they're on, but at this point they were helping the side of Chaos. They fight all their way to Terra, and Sanguinius, one of the other Primarchs that isn't a dick, dies defending Terra. Terra.
Oh, no.
Sanguinius is the leader of the Blood Angels, who are all Space Marine vampires, and they were originally the ones who were supposed to fall to Chaos and worship Khorne, because, like, you know, they're vampires, it kind of makes sense. But when Sanguinius came to lead them, he was such a nice dude that he basically turned it from a bunch of shock troops who needed to consume blood to a holy order of knights that all fought off their craving. He was
really fucking badass.
Yeah, no, he had
That's so
fucking
cool.
his Primarch power was that he was likable and had wings. He also had a giant flaming sword.
Homie. God damn.
Yeah, he just needs a flaming sword and just
Yeah.
There is a reason people call Sanguinius 40k Jesus. Okay, there just is.
Oh
Unfortunately, he died
Praise
trying to defend Terra and fighting Horus. And then we get to the 1v1 Horus versus the Emperor. By the way, this is one of, when it's not our little artifactor, this is one of the best pieces of art in the entirety of 40k. That is the Emperor fighting off against Horus, who has skulls and is like the floor pelt, and he has this flaming sword. It's so fucking... Everything in 40k is so fucking metal, and this art does a really good job of grasping it. So, in order to get the fighting to stop, Sanguinius, like I said, and the Emperor teleports to their main ships. And Sanguinius dies, and it becomes the Emperor versus Horus. And the Emperor is more powerful than Horus. They have a fight, and most of the other people stay out of it because they don't want to fucking die. However, the Emperor fails to strike the last blow on Horus because up until like about 50 years ago, he was his favorite son who he actually loved and cared for a great deal. Horus uses this opportunity to basically use warp magic to fatally wound the Emperor. And the Emperor is like, fuck you, I made the mistake of letting you live, and kills Horus.
Okay.
So, the problem is when I said Horus was one of the only likable Primarchs, I meant it. So, the invasion force is kind of like, who the fuck's the leader? What we do now? And they start retreating, especially because right around the time they killed Horus, the cavalry comes in, basically. And they... Forces of Chaos, for the most part, retreat to the Eye of Terror. However, the Emperor, like I said, is fatally wounded, and his forces carry him back to Terra, and they put him in one of his biggest projects, because he was a scientist too, called the Golden Throne. The Golden Throne is this mechanical contraption that will keep him alive forever. The cavalry is led by Lehman Russ, basically, I think, or he was a pretty major player. And he becomes the Corpse Emperor of Mankind, where he sits, not living, but unable to die, at the core of Terra, and protects everything. With his sheer psychic presence, he protects Terra, and he's dead. For all factors, he is taken out of the story because he can't do anything other than basically protect Terra as a corpse on a throne that is keeping him alive, which, by the way, needs around 1,000 psychers. Remember, those are the rare people who can do magic, sacrificed every day to keep the machine running and keep him alive.
Oh, Christ on a stick.
So being a human now sucks, right? Because you have this guy who could shoot mind bullets and was wearing all golden armor, had a flaming sword, really brought humans together. And so a lot of humans, despite that not being what the Emperor wanted, the Emperor actually wanted humanity to be mostly secular, start worshiping him as a god. And a church very quickly takes power that says, hey, he was the god emperor of mankind. He must be worshipped. He is the one thing protecting all humans now. And they become basically a religious fascist dictatorship. Being led by a bunch of old fucks and members of the church. If you are a heretic, meaning you go, I don't think the emperor would have wanted this, you were immediately killed on the spot by either your neighbors, the secret police, or the church. And when I say killed, I mean sometimes you're tortured because, you're helping chaos and the demons win. Because after the Horus Heresy, everyone who is in a higher ranking position now understands that chaos is not great. But the important thing to understand is the Emperor had a very clear vision of humanity as being very technologically forward. Still kind of racist against aliens, but it's, to be fair, most of them wanted to kill humans anyway. And overall, just being good. And better for the everyman, mass-producing technology, ruling the galaxy, and being secular and intelligent and wise. Yeah, it's not like that now. And in the present timeline, which is we've just now gotten to, all non-demon Primarchs, save for one, are currently missing or unaccounted for. Some have been killed, like Sanguinius. Some are just lost in the warp or fighting their own fight. And that last guy is Gilliman, who is the leader of the Ultramarines, who are the most basic of Marines. Their special ability is that they're smarter than the average.
Okay. They do better on the SAT.
Yes,
Got it.
They have very, very good SAT scores. And there's a very good bit of lore going on with him right now, where he's one of the few people who is still alive who knew the Emperor, and he's really pissed off that things are the way they are, and he's currently getting having assassins thrown at him by the powers that be for humanity because Gilliman is the only person who can reasonably challenge their power.
Right.
Humanity is fighting an endless war with the forces of chaos as well as the Xenos. Everyone kind of hates chaos, but they hate each other too. So Eldari are constantly fighting humans, which are constantly fighting Tyranids, which are constantly fighting chaos. Excuse me. It's a fucking mess. Everything fucking sucks. Being an average human in 40K is horrendous. You are working in what is called a hive world, which is a planet that has been hollowed out and turned into a factory. You work ridiculously long hours so that you can reproduce and eventually die. If you become a soldier and you're incredibly unlikely to be a space marine, you're more likely than not a member of the guard, who we will talk about, who is literally just a normal person with armor that is around the same armor as what we would have today, and a weapon that is only slightly advanced from what we have today, fighting demons and orcs and Tyranids and all sorts of very awful shit.
Right.
There is a reason that most wars in the 40K are counted in the millions and billions. It's because people are fucking expendable. But some planets and places are not. And we're in a constant war where we're fighting back innumerable threats to humanity, while humanity itself is evil and fucked up and causing a lot of problems. The entirety of Warhammer is evil. That is true. The best thing about Warhammer, as someone who wants to play it, is that no matter what faction you are playing, you are always playing the bad guy. There are no good guys in 40K. Humans are bad guys too. It's awful.
Pick your favorite type of evil.
Exactly. And so now we're going to talk about all of those types of evil. And the great thing about that is the pre-bit took shorter than I thought, which means I get to talk at length about how fucking cool every single faction in 40K is, and some of their lore and the crazy shit. The Necrons aren't evil, their leaders are just sad. They literally want to eradicate all life in the universe. Period.
Sometimes it be like that.
They are
though,
evil.
you know?
That's what happens
Shut
when
the
you're
fuck up,
extra
Rackus,
sad.
Rackham. Tyranids are immoral, but they're also like
They're very
literally giant hive mind bug creatures that are
They're
trying
just
to consume
hungry.
anything.
They're just
So we
hungry.
talked about the Imperium of Man. They're a religious fascist imperium. They're trillions of people. They murder anyone that is even thought of potentially being a heretics, and they're the opposite of everything the Emperor actually wanted, despite worshiping him. But they've got some pretty cool shit going on too. These are some pictures of the main factions, both that you can play, and they're kind of involved in the war and the conflict going on in the Imperium.
There's a lady with a gun.
The Sisters of Battles are kind of...
The sister, dude, I unironically
Hey,
love
girl,
the
what's
Sisters
your
of Battle,
number?
and I'm going to get into it because they are
Okay.
so goddamn dope.
Okay.
But first,
Okay,
you have the
okay.
Space Marines. Now, there are 9 chapters of Space Marines that all act very different. And they are sort of the vanilla, which means they're a really good way to judge the power of everything else in the galaxy. So when I say things like, the average gun for a Space Marine is a fully automatic gun that doesn't shoot bullets, it shoots fucking grenade launcher rounds that embed themselves in a target, and when they feel themselves slow down, they immediately explode, and that is the basic rifle for which we base everything else power-wise in 40K on. You can understand how ridiculous everything is.
Yeah.
As I talked about, they are genetically engineered super soldier warrior monks. They are all men because they are all based off the Emperor and the Primarch's DNA. There is a current movement going on in the fandom about should they still all be men, should there be women. My opinion on that, not to cause too many things, is that you can buy female heads for Space Marines. If you run around an all-face female Space Marine army, fucking go for it. I like kit bashing and conversion and making your own lore anyway. They probably won't have lore for a while, but fuck it, do whatever you want and what makes you happy, especially if you piss off really ignorant, dumb people. So there's all these various chapters. I talked about the Blood Angels. I'll also talk about my 2 other favorite chapters, which are the Salamanders. The salamanders are run by the coal black gentleman you see there, and they are all coal black. They live and train on a planet that is effectively a giant fucking volcano.
Oh,
And
cool.
their Primarch's name is Vulcan, and they specialize in fire weapons. Now, the thing about Vulcan and the Salamanders is that they're mostly nice. Out of all the Space Marines, they really highly prioritize civilian losses and not letting people die. They're very protective of their fellow humans. And they also travel from their planet to nearby planets to educate people very often. Also, no surprise here, they are all master blacksmiths and they make all of their own shit.
Oh, no
Which is
wonder you
just
like them.
dope. They're nice and they make really cool technology shit. They're awesome.
Cool.
The other group of Space Marines that I really like, other than the Ultramarines, which are the basic ones I explained, the Blood Angels, are called the Raven Guard. They were run by a man whose ability was to turn invisible. And as a result, they are the stealth ones. They are the shock and awe tactics, underground goal stuff. Not quite like sleeper cells like the Alpha Legion are, but more like appear in your backline when you didn't expect them, drop in from the air, that kind of shit. Data gathering, all that sort of stuff. They all have pale white skin and black hair, and they all have a lot of raven motifs in their armor. However, they are also very, very kind, and their current Primarch is missing because he is hunting down a demon Primarch who basically murdered half of his chapter. And in service of that, he has partially given himself to chaos and become a shadow demon. He's still on the good side, but he's like half demon now. And he is basically chasing this one motherfucker across the warp, trying to assassinate him.
Yo,
Very,
I just
very
just looked what they look like up because I thought it sounded awesome, and they look fucking sick. They have like claws, and oh my god, these look so cool.
They
Oh yeah.
They as part of Space Marine armor, some of the Space Marines have what are called jump packs, which sound like jetpacks, and they kind of are, but think of them more like rockets in that they launch you into the air and then slow your descent. That's all they do. So what they will do is they will drop them from ships and drop ships, and they'll land in the back line, and they have like lightning charged, incredibly sharp claws, and they'll just tear shit up. They're fucking rad. I want to do D&D campaigns set in the Warhammer 40k universe. There is one for that. I'm doing a one shot for VTubers in that with that rule set someday. However, you can only play humans. So it's but it's still cool. So these are the Space Marines. They're very, very cool, but kind of vanilla, and these are like the poster boys of 40k.
They are
Next, you have one of my favorite factions, the Adeptus Mechanicus. The meme is that they fuck toasters, but basically they started on Mars, and they developed this cybernetic techno cult. Where they realized that technology is a lot harder for the warp to fuck with, so therefore the proper way to do the most amount of good is to replace all of your body parts with machines so that you can live forever. They hate flesh and love robots, and they also worship this thing called the Omnissiah, which is the all-present spirit that controls all machines. They believe all machines have their own machine spirit in them, and that when a gun goes wrong, or a tank fucks up, or something else happens, even like a generator on a ship, that the machine spirit is angry. The thing is that they're kind of right, because they're still the best engineers in the galaxy. And there have been like actual chapters in 40k books told from the perspective of the machine spirit of a tank.
Really?
Now you might notice. Go on, Gravity.
No, don't stop for me. I'm just gonna be confused. Keep going.
You may notice that I said that they worship the Omnissiah, and the Omnissiah is not the Emperor. And you may say, well, that's heresy. And you're right. But they control manufacturing.
Oh, so they get away with it.
So they get away with it because they're the only ones who make the guns and the tanks and the spaceships and the warp drives. By the way, remember how I said that the warp is hell? The warp drives in 40K use the warp to travel faster. Think of it like the Nether in Minecraft. But that does mean that when you are doing warp travel faster than light travel in 40K, you are in hell. They have technology to help prevent that, but they've developed this fun term called lost in the warp, which most of the time means that a ship's Geller field broke and they were torn apart and tortured by demons.
Oh, no.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Damn.
What? So, out of curiosity, what
Yes.
are these guys' relationship with the Necron? Because aren't they technological beings as well?
Yes, they believe that because Necrons were made before the Emperor, that they are a corrupted version of technology. They it spits in the face of the Omnissiah because they're machines without a soul. There have been stories in the past, especially with Call, who we'll get to in a minute, where they have had to work with Necrons, but for the most part, they don't like them. Bog standard of these guys, they're what's called Skitarii. They are genetically engineered and robot manipulated soldiers that follow commands. Very basic. They're somewhat slaves, but they don't care because they're representing the Omnissiah. And then you have commanders above them who control all of them, but they're still mostly whatever. And then you eventually have the higher and higher ranked people who have thought and sentience and prescience, and they're not slaves, but they are mostly machine. Call, who is the technical leader of the Adeptus Mechanicus, has been around since the Emperor became the Emperor, and he is still alive because he is like 98% machine. He has forgotten more stuff about the world and the lore than anyone who is alive has experienced. That is like a human. And I love him. He's super cool because he's really fucking sassy because he's realized he's expendable. He's not expendable. But yeah, they are these like techno-worshipping priests that modify themselves and experiment and do all this cool shit, but they run into a problem, which is that technology is in decay in the Imperium. New things are hard to develop because we've lost so much information when the Emperor died, and because of the Horus Heresy, and because of what was effectively a demon virus that corrupted a ton of information. So, like, the biggest ships in 40K, they don't really know how to build them anymore. So anytime one gets lost, it's a big deal. They also have these walkers that are like chicken walkers, basically. They're on two legs, and the guy who knew how to build them and maintain them died, and they lost that information during the Horus Heresy. So all of the ones they currently have, they don't turn them off, and they corral them and make them run in a circle because they think, and to a certain extent they're right, that if they turn them all off, they won't be able to get them started again.
So the term of chicken with his head cut off really takes it to a T.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are just super fucking cool because they're the forefront of all the technology, and they go on these big crusades to try to find old tech with the hope that one day they will get back to the heights they were at the Horus Heresy. And excuse me, most of them can't create new tech because of not only information loss, but also because like new tech is kind of heretical, and you never know if a demon might slip in those designs and shit like that. And as we'll go into, there are chaos machine spirits, and they will fuck you up. So everyone's very careful, and they have to be incredibly careful because of how powerful information is and all sorts of shit. So they're basically stuck in this point of they're the engineers and the soldiers of the future who have been hamstrung at every attempt to learn any new information. and I love them for it. As an engineer and a software dude, these are one of my favorite factions.
Oh.
Next, you have the Adeptus Sororitas. So the Adeptus Sororitas were made
Lady.
after.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Right? They were made after the Space Marines, and these are the defenders of the Ecclesiarchy, who are the Imperium's church. They are the warrior nuns to combat the warrior monks.
Oh.
They are all fucking insane. All of them. They are like so church and religion obsessed that when they go into a battle, they drive these moon-sized ships into low orbit so they're in the atmosphere, and they'll blast battle hymns and religious songs, and their drop pods are churches, and
Oh my
That's
god.
crazy.
it's this whole thing. And the really cool thing about the Adeptus Sororitas is that there are saints of the organization in the church who are characters.
Huh.
There was a point after the Horus Heresy where the person who was in charge of the Ecclesiarchy basically claimed to be the reincarnation of the Emperor and tried to turn the Adeptus Sororitas against the humans. However, that fight ended when a bunch of the higher ranking members of who became the different sects of the Adeptus Sororitas were brought to the chambers of the Golden Throne,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody knows what they saw, but they saw a vision. The only bit of recorded history is that they were pissed when they left. And they immediately went to the dude who was trying to turn the church against the rest of humanity and take power and said, "You're a false prophet." And one of the leaders shot a normal bolter at him, and the moment he shot the bolter, his shield happened to fail, and he was exploded.
Oh my god.
Yeah. They also have one of their actual units in the game, and one of their tanks is a tank with a church organ on it with a player, and when they play the church organ, it fires missiles.
Oh my god.
So you need to understand that these people are ridiculously over the top. If you are a sister of battle and you are on a crusade for the Holy Emperor and you run away and you live, you're fucked. You will be strapped to a torture machine. You will be brainwashed, fucking chopped apart for your more useful parts. You'll be destroyed.
Ugh.
Bro,
One
take
of
me
the
to
way
church.
they handle heretics and allow them to get redemption is by putting them in. You all know what Iron Maidens are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They put them in torture devices like Iron Maidens, and then attach those Iron Maidens to mechs, and then put them at the front line, and then say the only way your suffering will end is if you die in the glory of the Emperor.
Now that's a lot of damage.
Exactly. It is.
Holy
True.
fuck.
Yeah. But my other favorite
Bitches
tidbit.
are crazy.
Yeah, and I'm only saying this for my friends Scully and Grab, is that they're not a celibate group.
Yeah.
There is an actual bit of a story in 40K, which I haven't read the book yet, but I have confirmed is real, where a bunch of guard are talking to the Adeptus Sororitas, and the Adeptus Sororitas are like, yeah, we don't understand why people, like, don't think we have sex or we're not allowed to. The Emperor doesn't give a shit. In fact, like, as long as we can still fight, we can basically do whatever we want to.
Yeah,
As long as it's in the glory of the Emperor.
I love how the Emperor's like, these ones can't have dicks, but those other ones can
But
still
those
fuck.
other ones, they can fuck.
Well,
They
because
can fuck
they're
all
not
day, all
genetically
night.
modified. These are, for the most
Oh.
part, normal people just given good gear. And then made
Oh.
insane via indoctrination.
Cool.
Okay, but
Yes, they're
still, the
dope
point
as fuck,
stands.
though.
He was like, nah, y'all can fuck.
Mhm. So then you have the Imperial Guard. This makes up the bulk of the human fighting force. And it is normal people in flak jackets with what are called las guns, which are so ineffective in most situations that the community calls them flashlights.
Oh, no.
However, they have the tanks and artillery. There are many accounts of planets' crusts, the crust of an entire planet breaking during an Imperial Guard artillery barrage.
Uh-oh.
If that gives you any
Okay.
idea of the scale. A lot of people like them because they are your average Joes. They are the backbone of a lot of very fucking good stories. And they are, for the most part, just normal people, with the exception of what are called ogrins, which are like big beef sort of ogre humanoids, who are, on average, stupider, but they're also like 8 feet tall and can carry like 2 rocket launchers.
Makes sense.
They are the front line, the hammer of the Emperor. And they are commanded by commissars and other people who are normal humans who are always outgunned, very often outmatched, and sometimes, despite their high numbers, still outnumbered. So if you survive for more than like a year or two as a guard member, you're a fucking Chad. But don't worry, Caleb. There is a really good story about an Imperial commissar who is at the head of the Imperial Guard, stationed on a planet that is literally called, I believe it's like Apocalypse or something like that, and it's infested with orcs. And all of the orcs are goddamn terrified of this one dude, Commissar Yarrick, because he is a stone cold badass. He was offered a chance to retire by the Imperial Guard, which doesn't happen. He is, I think, one of the only major characters in 40k that was given the chance to retire, and he said, no, I want to keep fucking up these orcs. The orcs had a rumor about him that he had an eye that shot lasers, so when he lost an eye in the war against them, he replaced it with an eye that could shoot lasers.
Yeah.
Based.
Yeah, that's right.
These are normal people being put up against the worst things imaginable, and they don't run away. There's a reason a lot of people like the Imperial Guard. Next, you have the Adeptus Custodes.
Okay.
What is this?
This is a bit from Emperor TTS. It's Pillarmen Custodes. Don't worry about it.
I love it.
So Holy Terra is the center of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of need to protect it, considering it's always under attack. So I said earlier, I think, that for every 1,000 humans, there's one Space Marine.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's 10,000. It's a high number. For every about 1,000 to 10,000 Space Marines, there's one Grey Knight, who are a special faction of Space Marines that are Demon Slayers. For every 100 Grey Knights, there is one Adeptus Custodes. There is, in the entire universe, about, I think, between 10 and 50,000 of these guys, which sounds like a lot until you remember that we are in the hundreds of trillions of humans. They are personally genetically edited by the top scientists of the Imperium to be the baddest motherfuckers alive. They are effectively immortal. They are clad in golden armor that is the best that the Imperium can afford. And their job, for the most part, is to protect the Golden Throne. Also, fun fact, Henry Cavill. Yes, that Henry Cavill. This is the faction he plays. Henry Cavill plays 40k, by the way, in case you didn't know, because he's the most lovable fucking giant alpha nerd there is. These guys are ridiculously powerful. There have been talks in the books about them literally standing on guard for 100 years and having it feel like hours. But they say that, like, if anything had come in front of me, if anything changed, if anything did this or this, I would have struck down without a second thought. These people play survival games against each other where one group will try to break into the Golden Throne and the other group will try to stop them. They are rad as hell. And they come with a second group who is part of the Adeptus Custodes, but kind of their own order, who are the Sisters of Silence that Caleb was referring to.
Women!
They are the all-female group. You see, as part of the protection they get, none of these people are psychers. They cannot use warp magic. Because when you use any psychic energy in the 40k to cast spells, you are rolling the dice in that you are strong enough mentally to not turn into a demon or explode or become a demon portal, all sorts of shit. If any of you have played D&D, the 40k psyker roll, if you fail to cast any spell, it becomes wild magic. If you know what that is.
What is that?
You roll a D100, and whatever you land on, that's the thing that happened. Everything from your head explodes. Everyone around you's head explodes. You catch fire. You summon a greater demon. You become a portal to the warp. A living one, by the way. You're still alive for this. So having psychers around is you can't have it. Because if one of them loses it, everything gets thrown into peril. So none of them can use psychic magic. However, really the best way to combat other demon magic is with psychers. So they needed to come up with a way to fight off the demons of the warp. And the solution came to them in the form of them getting very fucking lucky by finding a ship that was lost in the warp previously. And everyone was dead except for an all-female group of guardsmen from one planet. And what they found is they were all something called blanks. Being a blank is a genetic abnormality that means that your brain is not connected to the warp. Effectively, you don't have a soul.
Okay.
If you're not a psyker, being near one of these people will skeeze you the fuck out. You will feel cold, get chills, generally uncomfortable, and if one of them glares at you, it will like make you like, ugh. You know when you walk into a room and you're like, bad vibes? It's like that times 10. If you're a psyker, getting too close to one of these people could literally fucking kill you.
Oh my god.
Yikes.
They radiate a sort of anti-psychic field, and if you're an inexperienced psyker and you like walked into that field and tried to catch a spell, yeah, your head would explode and you'd die.
Let's go!
Let's go.
So along with these Adeptus Custodes...
Anti-magic.
Yes. Along with these Adeptus Custodes is an all-female fighting force called the Sisters of Silence. And they're awesome, and I love them. And the only reason I didn't include more of them in the presentation is because they refused to give them a fucking army or any more in-depth lore. Which sucks, because they're super awesome! Anyway. They're very, very cool, and together they protect Terra. Now we got the Imperial Knights. They're big robots. So when humans were originally like colonizing all of these planets, they needed machines to help them. And so they developed these giant walkers to farm and till the soil and transport stuff. However, when war came, they realized that if you take what is effectively the tractor of a giant walker and you just strap a bunch of guns to it, it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
And over time, they developed into a sort of heraldry of knights. So you have the small knights, which are normally commanded by one person, and they're about the size of a 2-story house. Yes, I said the small ones. And they have shields and symbology from whatever knight order they are a part of. And they are very honorable, and they're basically what we would consider like past knights, except they drive mechs. The smallest one is about the size, like I said, of a 2-story house. The bigger ones are about the size of a skyscraper.
Okay.
And the biggest ones are, well, how do I put this? Their guns could literally destroy like an entire city.
Now it's just growing log on.
Oh my god.
Now just
Yeah, they're getting there.
Yeah, no, here, you know what? Here, let me press escape real quick. Fuck, Imperial Knights. Let me see if I can find real quick the scale. Okay, yeah. Yeah, this is a pretty good scale. So these guys over here, you can see, would be about the size of a building. These guys are the size of a 2-story building, and then it gets bigger, and then these guys get bigger, and then these guys get bigger, and this one on the right or the left you're seeing is not even the biggest type of knight.
Throwing galaxies
Wow, they
now.
love Gundam so much.
Where? Oh, here's another pretty good scale. An Imperial normal knight would be about this size, and a human would be roughly the size of that big toe.
Okay.
If like 3 of them were laying down together. They get big. For another way to envision the scale, when you're running a full army of these guys in the tabletop game, you get like 4.
Oh.
As opposed to normal army size being between like 40 and 120, you get like 4 of them. They're... Yeah, go on, Scully.
Who drives them? Like, who pilots them?
They are basically an ancestry of nobles who are noble houses who drive these knights. And all of the machine spirits, as well as the machine, are coded to the genetics of that driver. As you get with bigger and bigger mechs, you need more people to drive it. Not necessarily because you got more stuff going on, but because the machine spirit gets harder and harder and harder to control. And so the person who is piloting the knight needs help doing it. Because I told you that, like, machine spirits are kind of a real thing, and these are, like, centuries-old giant mechs that have fought and killed and slayed. They have personalities. They have all sorts of crazy shit going on about them. So yeah, basically a noble line of knight houses run all of these knights, and they're obviously supported by the Adeptus Mechanicus, who does a lot of the, like, putting things together and everything. But, like, they are one-man armies to end all one-man armies. And they're super cool. And that brings us to the end of the Imperium of Man, which is the biggest faction, but also, in my opinion, the least interesting.
Yeah, they seem boring.
Big snoozer.
When do we get to the orcs? I want to get to the orcs.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry, Bone Miser. We're going to be talking about the orcs quite a bit.
I like Imperium.
That's
Imperium
what I'm
are
waiting
cool.
for.
The Imperium are cool, but they're my least favorite faction. Next, we have Chaos, which is the one I like the most. These are the Chaos Space Marines who were originally part of the Horus Heresy. Because of warp magic time fuckery, some of them are still around. These are the Chaos Demons. And Chaos Knights, who have their own whole faction of basically corrupted demon aristocracy.
Cool.
So first we talk about the Chaos Space Marines. As you can see, they look a little different. Like I said, because of warp time fuckery, most of these are from like the Horus Heresy, which happened 1,000 years before standard 40k. Not all of them worship demons, but all of them hate the fucking Imperium. Most of them live in the warp in their ships. And they're kind of running a guerrilla war against the Imperium. Because they don't have the supplies and the support that a lot of the Imperium gets, mostly from manufacturing, and they're all ancient. There are stories of Chaos Space Marines scavenging bits of power armor from the Space Marines they kill. In this section, do I have... No, okay. There's a bunch of different chapters, but there's 3 main ones. The first one, or I guess 4. The first one are the ones that worship Khorne.
Corn.
They are the World Eaters. They killed all of their mages because Khorne thought magic was bitch made.
Was bitch made.
They are all fucking crazy, and because of their Primarch, have nails installed in their brain that make it harder for them to feel emotions that aren't anger.
Oh my god.
And they all have the blessing of Khorne. Now, each Chaos God has a unique blessing, and Khorne's is very interesting. You see, Khorne makes it so that you are hyper-focused, hyper-fixated, incredibly strong and smart and tactical, as long as you're murdering people. The minute a battle ends, your heart starts beating faster, and you start losing the ability to focus on what's going on around you. And you start getting heart palpitations, and you start having anxiety. Basically, Khorne's blessing is you are a god on the battlefield, but if you are not actively fighting for your life or killing people, you are in a constant state of a panic attack.
That sounds terrible.
It's fucking awful.
I need to fight. I need to fuck.
You understand why they're really good at fighting, because that's the only escape they have.
Oh my god.
You see that guy there
They
has...
should
Yeah.
They should go learn how to do, what is it, that cross-stitch thing? That's just stabbing something a billion times.
Yeah.
That's just a hobby.
Yeah.
Thing.
Yeah, like, come on.
By the way, I totally slipped this, but you made me think about it. There are factions of Imperial Space Marines who play tabletop war games as a hobby to work on their strategy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The yellow ones, the Imperial Fist. Look it up sometime. It's a really funny lore tidbit that I love. But so for instance, there's chain blades in 40k. There's chain swords. And they are like chainsaw swords that have incredibly reinforced teeth, and they rip through almost anything. Yeah, most of the Khorne people have chain axes.
Go.
And they'll like dual wield them. Some of them just like don't like guns because they think guns are dumb, so they'll just go into a berserker rage and charge into the enemy.
Damn it, these guys sound like they get me.
Yeah.
For real, for real.
They seem pretty based.
Then you have the Death Guard, who are the ones who follow Nurgle. Now, the Death Guard are kind of interesting because they weren't really convinced on all this whole Chaos God worship thing. And they followed Mortarion, who was really kind of against the whole Chaos worship thing, until his second in command betrayed him and basically put him in the middle of Nurgle space. I like Yellow Moth VT, educational. Technically, I am teaching.
I'm being edumacated.
I'm learning.
Will there be a test?
There will not be a test.
Hopefully not, because I'm gonna fail
God.
Yeah.
it.
Whew.
They were basically dropped in the middle of the warp in Nurgle space. And they all got infected with one of Nurgle's main diseases, the Nurgle rot. However, because they were Space Marines, they couldn't die. So they were basically... Imagine being unable to die, but feeling your entire body rotting from the inside out.
Oh my god.
Needless to say, they weren't super jazzed about that. And Mortarion, who he was a demigod who could kind of resist it, eventually pledged allegiance to Nurgle to get the pain to stop.
Oh.
However, Nurgle is, he freed them from the rot, not necessarily by making the disease go away, but making them immune to pain. So Nurgle's soldiers are thicker, Their armor is rotting in some places. They have
yucky.
extra appendages from mutation. And some of them just have, like, belly mouths and shit.
Wow, okay.
Icky.
And for the most part, they're kind of okay with it because as a benefit of Nurgle's blessing, they no longer feel pain. Like at
Oh, that's a
all.
good. That's a good
It's
trade.
like, yeah, it's there, but I can't feel it.
So they're effectively the living dead. But
Yeah.
Space Marine living dead. Then you have the Blessing of Siege. Siege is a bastard. He basically took over the Thousand Sons and their leader Magnus, and through a selection of deals basically started driving them all insane and making them decay and all sorts of weird shit. And in exchange he gave them knowledge of everything, you know? But the problem with having knowledge of everything is you kind of tend to start losing your fucking mind when you know all the unfettered truths of the world.
Yeah.
And
as you do.
The second in command of Magnus sort of saved them, sort of betrayed them by casting a spell that basically bound their souls to their power armor, but sacrificed their mortal bodies for it.
Oh, so they're ghosts.
They're literal ghosts in the machine who are incredibly psychically talented. They have more psychers than any other group of Space Marines.
Cool.
Chaos or Imperium. And they teleport around. They do all sorts of dope shit. But they're all really angry about basically being ghosts now. Then you have the Emperor's Children. The Emperor's Children follow Slaanesh.
Uh-oh.
And Lucius the Eternal is their Primarch, who fell to Slaanesh because of a demon blade he was given, which had a greater demon of Slaanesh inside it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
You gotta watch out for those demon blades, dog.
Yeah, not ideal.
Is it the same blade that's in Fantasy Warhammer?
It's the same idea.
Okay.
One moment.
And now that it's on the topic, do we treat them completely separate, right? They're not really. There's no connection between.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask
There's overlap, but they're different universes. There's a lot of people who are like, well, they have all these things in common. They do. Like the 4 Chaos Gods are the same and stuff like that.
But it's not the same timeline.
But it's not the same timeline. It's not the same
Okay.
universe.
Gotcha.
It's just they borrow ideas from each other liberally.
It's like an AU.
Yeah, sort of. Sort of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, what if all of My Hero Academia were villains, you know? But
yeah.
it's like, what if all of 4K was fantasy?
What if all anime watchers actually had sex? You know, it's like that kind of thing.
Oh my god.
So they worship, the demon goddess Slaanesh, and they love music, and they have noise marines who have like sonic blasters, that shoot super loud sounds that like make people die. They also have the Mad Max guitar flamethrowers.
Oh, fucking dope.
And they have a very interesting blessing, which basically says that when you get the blessing of Slaanesh, at first it's great. You can see colors that nobody else could. You can hear sounds in a range that no other human has been able to. Maybe no other living person. Cool. But as you get older, you grow dull. And what I mean by that is the thing you're listening to or experiencing has to be more and more and more excessive for you to feel the same thing. Noise Marines are the fucking best. You're correct, and all of us are waiting for the fucking Emperor's Children to get their own goddamn codex so we can all play weird fucking murder demons with rifle guns, with rifle fucking sonic boom launchers and flamethrower guitars. If you quote me now, I am building an Emperor's Children army if they ever get their own goddamn rules instead of a sub-rule. Anyway.
Okay.
So, like, it gets harder and harder for you to use those. And it gets to the point where they become numb unless they are hearing incredibly loud noises. They are experiencing incredible color all over. They are having guns fire next to them, explosions in their ears, all this shit.
God.
which basically means the only time they can use this incredible gift they have been given is when they're in the middle of a fight.
Makes sense.
Or they're literally like blowing up fucking sonic grenades in their own ears. So they all become these excess maniacs because that's the only way they can feel as good. It's like being on a drug. In order to get that high, you need to do more and more and more and more and more each time to get to that point. Thank you for the redeems for my physical health, y'all. I've been hydrating plenty, don't worry. So yeah, it's like a problem, you know? And they all, as a result, become kind of drug fiends, and they inject themselves with all sorts of stimulants and all sorts of crazy shit. Lucius the Eternal isn't their Primarch. My bad. It's someone else. But Lucius the Eternal is their second in command, who has a curse placed on him where if anyone kills him but gets joy from killing him, they will slowly turn into him. Are you going to cover the four princes? You mean the four demon gods of chaos? Or you're talking about like Aegon and Mortarion and stuff like that? I wasn't going to because we're almost 2 hours in and I'm still on Chaos Space Marines. This is a very broad overview. Look up the leaders of the four main chaos. Yeah, I already covered the chaos gods in the very beginning. But yeah. So those are the main ones, but there's also people like the Night Lords. What's been covered so far? A very brief overview of 40k lore from the beginning of the universe to modern day. I've covered who the Chaos Gods are, who the Emperor of Mankind is, the war in heaven, and basically the advent of what got us to the point in current day. If you would like to see more be covered, watch the VOD. It'll be up for quite a while, and I'm going to upload it to my YouTube channel.
Awesome.
Yes. But not all Chaos Space Marines worship demons. Some of them just don't like the Imperium. Like the Night Lords, who, like, imagine if Batman was a serial killer and it was a chapter of Space Marines. That's basically what they are. Fear, terrorist attacks, striking at the heart of an enemy, psychological warfare. That's their whole thing. The book Night Lords, I believe, is written about a group of them and is one of my favorite books I've ever read. I would highly recommend reading it if you're interested in 40k lore, chat, and also people in here. But they are basically ridiculous, over-the-top, crazy killers. No, I haven't touched Tyranids yet. And they kind of don't fuck with the Chaos Gods. They just don't like the Imperium. So, like, each chapter of these guys is very different, just like it is in the Imperium, and they all kind of have their own reasons for fighting. All of their lore is super dope. I would 10 out of 10 recommend. If you're interested in the idea of playing, like, evil super soldiers that have demon powers, they're super dope. Next is the Demons of Chaos. Each demon god has their own group. And they all, sometimes they join forces when they want an individual goal, but for the most part they fight each other just as much as they fight others. And all of them are kind of based around what their god is. So like the Demons of Khorne look more like kind of typical devils, and they are very fire and brimstone, very murder. They're very demons and D&D type stuff. But because of the warp allowing them to travel and the fact that they are all kind of immortal except for very certain weapons which are designed to kill demons, you can't get rid of them. And then you start getting into greater demons, which are like servants of the gods directly. To give you an idea of how ridiculous 40k gets, Genghis Khan went on to become a greater demon of Khorne.
Fucking awesome. Like, and that actually works pretty well given his historical influences. That's actually freaking rad.
Humans can sort of become demon princes and greater demons, or summon demons, or give their body as a host to demons, because they are more like psychic energy than they are a physical thing. But they can also use their energy to manifest themselves in the real world. you are, like I said, 4. They have different benefits from drawbacks of working together and draw on different goals. So like Nurgles are super hard to kill because they're the demon god of disease and they're all walking dead. Corrin is really fast. Siege is very magically powerful. Slanesh has an innate ability where they exude pheromones that distract and intoxicate people. It's nutty. But there's not a lot to say to them other than the fact that their design is really cool and they are the denizens of the warp. So like if a ship has its Geller field, which kind of keeps the warp out of the ship, go down, it will very quickly be attacked by demons depending on what region of the warp it's in. Because since the warp is its own space, different regions have, like, there's like Nurgle's Garden is a place in the warp. The bronze throne and the pile of skulls, that corner there, that's a place in the warp. They're just in like weird cognitive realms that we can't quite understand because of Eldritch magic. Chaos Knights. Evil, big robots. Cooler in my opinion. So not all of these ancient knights bowed their head to the Emperor. Some of them were heretics from the get-go in the Crusades, and then some of them got taken over by demons or other chaos groups. Because of how ancient these Imperial Knights machine spirit is, if it gets corrupted by a demon, there can be like weird mixing going on. Some of these people who were originally nobles piloting the Imperial Knights are now stuck in them forever, as their flesh is like bonded to it. As well, there are demon engines, which are machines that are used as hosts of demons, and sometimes these Imperial Knights are used for that. So they kind of can have the same heraldry and nobility and all that stuff, but it's all kind of a sham because they're now all crazy bloodless monsters. And Chaos Knights are one of the more terrifying things that like a normal human could see, because it's like a demon-possessed 2-story tall giant robot with guns blazing and electric claws or a giant chain ripper sword just running at you.
Uh-oh.
They're dope and I love them, and they are horrifying. Hey, 1994 Ford Explorer.
Hey, look,
what
messed
a
up.
what a good
That's
name.
a good ass
What
name.
a good
No.
Twitch chat name. Hey, I don't ever like ask people to buy me subs, but if someone could gift a sub to 1994 Ford Explorer, I would really appreciate it.
Dude, milk is based.
Yeah.
And that kind of rounds out Chaos, actually. A lot of it is contained in the Chaos Space Marines and their kind of conflicting ideologies. And they're really, really cool. We've talked a lot about them. Next is the Eldari, who, despite the fact that we've talked about a lot, they've kind of developed into something that's very, very cool. So there are... Thank you, Gravity Queen, for gifting us up to 1994 Ford Explorer.
Nice.
Love you.
1994 Ford Explorer!
So there's 4 types of Eldari right now. And they sometimes work together, but most of the time they don't. There's the ones who escaped on the ships I told you about, where they're like, our race has died and we use necromancy to escape our fate via... then there's the our race has died and we use murder sex party drugs to escape our fate. Thank you, 1994 Ford Explorer, for the follow. Then there's murder clowns, hee 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 hee, and then there's the new one.
The new one?
Don't worry about it, we'll get there. So the first is the craft worlds, which are the ones that escaped on the ships. They are space elves, but they have this thing where the way they save their souls is by trapping them in soul gems and putting them into constructs. I may have explained this. But as a result, a lot of their ancient warriors aren't allowed to die because their race just isn't big enough to replace them. They have these spirit cores at the center of their ships that contain a huge amount of warp energy and stuff, as well as all these souls. And whenever there's a war or something that they need them, they bring them out and they put them in a wraith bone, this material they made out of the warp construct. And that construct fights on with the ghost of the person in it. Now, something I didn't talk about with Eldari is the way they do faster than light travel, it isn't through the warp. They have what they call the Waygates, or the Waystone system, I think it's called. I'm forgetting the name for some reason. I wish I wrote it down. Where basically they have their own sort of pocket dimension that they've made using technology that they can travel in and through. It allows them to do faster than light travel without the warp, and it also allows them to kind of exist in their own space if they want to.
And if that was an option, I would literally just say, man, fuck all this and go to my own little pocket dimension.
Right?
Right? Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because of the fact that the craft worlds have spread out across the galaxy, they're very different. However, one of the things that they main throughout them is they have this idea of aspect warriors, where it'll be warrior Eldari who will get really fucking good at a certain fighting style that was taught to them by an ancient warrior. Stuff like the use of heavy weapons, striking scorpions who are incredibly fast melee units who use poisons, Eldari that are experts in flying and maneuvering on craft, ones that are Phoenix warriors who use fire. And they're also all incredibly psychically gifted. They will occasionally and semi-often work together if they're in the area and they have a mutual goal. But they basically are all on planets apart from each other. And they view themselves as kind of the last true Eldari. Because they escape before things got too bad. Yeah. Banshee warriors who are women, yeah, they're a female force of warriors who are all about like scare tactics and shit like that.
Yes.
But yeah, they're hard to explain because I don't know a ton of Eldari lore. I know some friends who are like super into it, but like every single craft world ship is nearly the size of a planet, and they're all in different situations. One of my favorite ones is, and I forget which one they are, but they were just close enough when everything fell that they kind of got caught in the Eye of Terror. And so they're all incredibly proficient demon hunters, but they're also the least numerous of all the craft worlds because they are constantly fighting demons and just trying to survive.
Okay.
They are super dope, super talented in magic. They build giant constructs and have energy weapons and all sorts of shit. They're ridiculously cool. Next, we have Drukhari, which is one of my favorite factions. Basically, they're the second one, and they realize that if they just stay in their way path and do a lot of really evil shit, Slaanesh kind of leaves them alone.
Oh. It's like, oh, they're behaving.
They
That's so
torture
weird.
people. They hold giant gladiatorial combats. They genetically engineer humans and other races and themselves into war machines. They're basically space pirates.
Okay.
And they do a lot of horrible shit. It has been said in the lore that the worst thing that can happen to a human being is being captured alive by the Drukhari.
Wow.
And the other major way that they will avoid being entirely consumed is they have this technology that basically allows them to be resuscitated with a small piece of their soul and a small piece of their body. So if you're like a rich Drukhari, you would pay a homunculus, which are their flesh artists, who also make the war machines and do things like turn still living human beings into chairs.
What the hell?
It's fucked up.
Oh my god.
And you'll say, if I ever die, bring me back. And what they do is they will sacrifice and torture a bunch of people around you and use the collective negative energy from that to bring you back to life.
Wow.
They live in, for the most part, Kamora, which is in the far back of the Waygates and is one of the worst places to live, period. And they operate in cabals or groups, which are like mafia families that train in various forms of martial arts and weaponry and are all constantly fighting each other for supremacy.
Okay.
They are the most objectively evil faction. Drukhari. They're horrendous. They sometimes work with craft worlds and sometimes work with who we're about to go into. But like, if you get captured alive by a Drukhari, they can artificially keep you alive for hundreds of years and torture you for that entire time. It's fucked.
Yeah.
Next, we have the Harlequins, who are probably my favorite faction lore-wise in 40k.
Oh
Wait,
my
hold on.
god.
They
Let's
are...
go.
So remember when I said
What is this?
most of the gods of the Eldari died when Slaanesh was awakened? One god didn't.
Yo, wait. That's awesome.
His
That's so
name
cool.
is, I believe, Sheogorath. And Sheogorath is the laughing god of the Eldari, or the great Harlequin, or the first fool. He is the Eldari god of tricksters and artists. And what
that
the
makes
Harlequins were are sort of somewhere between bards, warriors, and playwrights. Their job that the laughing god has tasked them with is to go through and contain the entire history of the Eldari in the spoken word and in plays. And they sometimes perform these plays while in the middle of war.
That is
Drama
The
kids,
Harlequins
huh?
tried
Drama
very
kids.
hard
That's a bit much.
to tell everyone during the fall of the Eldari that they were about to fall, and then about 100 years or so before it happened, they all disappeared into... It's called the Webway. That's what it's called, the Webway. They are the best demon slayers in the galaxy because they have this sacred, fucked up knowledge in what they call the Black Library, which contains as much as the Eldari know of the history of the entire galaxy. All the weaknesses to all the demons, everything like that. It is a treasure trove that several other main characters in the 40k lore have not been able to get into. They have a very bizarre practice where when you become one of their troop, which is what their groups are called, you lose your name and you become whatever your role is in the play.
Oh my god.
Oh shit.
That's hardcore.
It's super cool. So they will perform these plays in the middle of murdering demons, and they all are these crazy clowns that have lost their identity. And just to give you an idea of how metal they are, one of their main weapons is called the Harlequin's Kiss. It is effectively a tube with a pointed end that they attach to their arm, and it has this sort of hyper metal that Eldari technology has made that's incredibly durable, but it's stored as like a tightly willed up ball of wire. And when they stab it into someone, the wire expands. And you are
yucky.
blended from the inside.
Yo, they do a little bit of trolling.
Yes.
Yucky.
They have a very interesting thing where the way that they avoid giving their soul to Slaanesh when they die is by instead giving it to Sheogorath and hope that he can one day overpower Slaanesh. Except for a very particular member of their troop, who are called the Solitaires. The Solitaires are cursed because in the play that is the Fall of the Eldari, they are the ones who play Slaanesh.
Oh no.
They are assassins. They are incredibly powerful. And they are cursed from the minute they are taking that role. And every time one of them dies, Sheogorath has to fight Slaanesh for their soul.
Wow.
Which
Wow,
sounds
what a
dope as
homie.
fuck until you realize sometimes he loses.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Still sounds dope as shit.
It's very
though.
cool. They also practice a lot of magic, unlike the Drukhari. They're more similar to the craft worlds, but it's more illusion and whimsy magic that they use to put on their plays. However, they have done things like, casually convinced groups of humans to start murdering each other because they were all hallucinating, they were getting hit up by demons, or all sorts of stuff. They are the murder clowns. A lot of people refer to them as the murder clowns. But
see
I
why
think
it was
they're-
Yeah.
Hebrew clown.
Yeah, but I think they're dope because they're like warrior bards who are all fucking assassins and like
Yeah, they seem badass.
it's
They seem
badass.
fun.
If they are one of the factions that I definitely want to build at some point because they
Bro.
look super cool. And if you get good at painting, their models are so goddamn dope.
I love the space ICP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
And now you have the new one. These only came into the lore about 4 years ago.
Really?
In real time, yes.
Oh my god.
They are the newest faction of the Eldari, and they are made by a previous Drukhari who became reformed and had a vision from their death god of the Eldari. The problem was the Eldari didn't really have a god of death. Not typically. There was some words about it and in history, but he wasn't like a main player. And what she learned is that if they sacrificed enough people or let enough people die and gave their energy to this god of death, their goal is to bring about a prophecy where the god of death will rise and then murder Slaanesh. The problem is, the general consensus in the community is there's a non-zero chance that this is all a play by Slaanesh to try to get the Eldari to fuck themselves over.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because the one you see in the background right now of the three is technically a half-demon Eldari. They gain power when people die, and the more people die in a combat that goes on, the more powerful they get. They even have that main one on the tabletop has an ability that if any full one of your units ever dies, it can immediately teleport to that location, which is dope as fuck. It's very cool. And they're also an alliance between the Craftworld's Eldari, the Drukhari, and even some Harlequins, who are all trying to bring about this kind of prophecy. And their leader, whose name I forget at the moment, is very interesting because she is currently working with Gilliman, who is the one Primarch that is actually in the picture. And the entire community thinks they fuck him. But she is like the least racist of the Eldari. By the way, totally forgot to do this. All the Eldari are racist against humans. They call us monkeys. Monkiegh. Monkeys.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh my
Fucking
god.
rude. Rude.
Which, as
Fucking
slurs go,
yikes.
is a pretty good one. You know, we'll just put it out there. We don't like to say gamer words, but this one's made up, so we can. But yeah, and so she's trying to work with humans to fight off chaos, as well as the Tyranids, who we'll talk about here in a little bit.
The bugs.
Orcs, Bone Miser. You ready to fucking talk about orcs?
Yes.
Orcs.
Finally.
So orcs,
Yes.
after the fall of the old ones, were in a very interesting place. Because they
Oh my
were
God.
bred to be stronger and smarter when there was a war going on, but there can basically never be a war as big as the war in heaven. Because,
Yeah.
Yeah. So they started kind of degrading and stuff like that, and eventually they turned into orcs instead of what they were previously. And orcs are really interesting because, like I said, they're a fungus. So if you kill an orc, it doesn't really bleed. It'll bleed a little bit, but it'll mostly poof. And anything that those spores touch has the potential to turn into an orc.
Oh my god.
If a orc infestation comes up on a planet, that planet most of the time is considered lost unless it is of high strategic value. Notice how I said infestation. Orcs are also a genetically engineered race, so there's two sort of types of orcs. There's the bash 'em, shoot 'em, kill 'em orcs, and then the mech heads, what they call them. The mech heads are the ones that make all the machines, and they don't cross over. Mech heads like killing people too, but they like making shit more. They like seeing shit blow up in wars and stuff like that. Now, I should say, yes, Boom?
Is there a name for the spellcasters, or are they still in the first group?
I think there is a name for them. What are they fucking
I know that
called?
the mech boys, the other ones.
Name for
I can't remember.
40k orc spell.
I think it's like shamans.
Weird boys. They're called the Weird Boys.
Yes.
Weird boys?
Excuse
Oh
you,
my
Rackham
God.
Frackham.
Weird
It's not an
boys.
S at the end. It's a Z. Orcs
It's a
are
Z.
called
Weird
boys.
boys.
Mech heads are the mechanical ones are called mech heads or megs, and the magic ones are called Weird Boys.
Weird boys.
It is important that you know that all orcs talk in a Cockney British accent, and they're based
Oh my
off
God,
British
the
soccer
weird
fans.
boys.
They're the Weird Boys.
The weird boy.
Let's get up in here and cause some rockets.
See why
That
this
is
is
all
a popular
orcs.
faction.
They are the chav
Oh,
faction.
yeah.
You're not wrong.
Could you
Um,
argue that they're
God, I can't believe it.
However,
the most good people in the universe?
sort of. The thing about orcs, right, is they're bred and programmed to like fights.
Yeah, that's all they do.
They will beat the shit out of each other if they're bored, but as long as an orc is preparing for a fight or in a fight, they're happy most of the time. Their currency is teeth.
Oh my god.
The thing is that's funny, and I find it hilarious that they went to this detail, is that orc teeth rot, but they also grow very quickly like sharks, so the economy is relatively stable.
Okay.
Hmm.
Hey. What?
Orcs worship the gods Gork and Mork.
Oh,
And you
yeah.
see, Gork, right? He's brutal, but he's cunning.
Yeah.
And Mork, he's cunning, but he's brutal.
Oh,
So
yeah,
Gork,
fucking-
he's brutal, but he's cunning. He'll bash you on the head with a stick. Mork, he's cunning. Oh, but he's brutal. He'll wait till you turn around and then bash you on the head with a stick.
Oh, fuck yeah. I
And
love
in
the
orc
orcs.
lore, they are constantly fighting each other till the end of time.
Wow.
The other very cool thing about orcs is when they were made, they were given a latent sort of psychic ability
Oh, yeah.
called the wog, which is the sound they
Yeah.
make when yelling, by the way.
Yeah.
One moment.
So cool.
Oh, there we go. Sorry if that was
Might be a little biased.
Yeah. Basically, to simple it down, the more orcs in a select area that believe something is true, the more likely it is to be true.
Yeah.
So, for instance, orcs are all like, "Oh, the red makes cars go faster." So it does. The red cars do actually go faster.
If
And-
red,
Crazy.
And color is very important in orc stuff. So a lot of the mechs are yellow, or purple is the stealthy color for orcs. Because you never seen a purple orc before, have you?
Oh,
I love them,
yeah.
They're so dumb.
They're so adorable. They're really charming.
And the thing is about orcs is they are dumb, but they're also very industrious, conniving bastards. So you can't really look down at them. One of the orcs' main vehicles has an engine that you can activate that temporarily puts them into the warp so they can teleport when they're going max speed like the fucking DeLorean from Back to the Future.
Wow.
Yeah.
And orcs will do this thing called, they'll go on what their version of a crusade is, or a wog. Walk. Because what will happen, right, is you get one orc, okay? And he crumps all the other gits around him. And so all those orcs are like, wow, that orc's strong. So he gets stronger. So then he crumps more gits. So then those gits start to believe he's strong. So he gets stronger. Repeat over like an entire planet. Or several. Or a solar system. And you have one orc who is so fucking wogged out that he's like, 10 feet tall and shit. He gets bigger and bigger and stronger. And that will activate a basic evolutionary instinct of orcs where they will just have the green tide wipe across the galaxy and just kill, slaughter, maim, and everything. And as the orcs like to say, you see, us orcs always come out on top. Because if we're fighting and we're winning, then we're winning. But if we're fighting and we're winning, we don't care because we're fighting. So that means we're still winning.
Oh, yeah.
Winning.
It's
Oh my
so
God, that's so
simple.
good.
I love it.
They're so good.
The Adeptus Mechanicus that are high level and are allowed to will take orc technology. Because Xenos tech is normally a no-no. But they want to figure out how it works so they can fight them. And they'll find cars without engines in them that work like cars.
Yes.
And all sorts of shit. But my favorite example of the orc psychic ability, and this story doesn't actually happen, but it's a very popular fan story. You see, orcs will sometimes become pirates when they'll pick up old broken ships, and they'll all just believe the ship's going to work, so it starts working again. And there were some orcs doing a repair on the outside of a ship. And they didn't have space stuff on, and they were fine. And another orc vessel happened to come up near them and see that they were doing repairs. And orcs in general help orcs out, so they were like, oh, we'll help them with the repairs. So they sent out orcs in spacesuits. And the orcs in spacesuits came up to the other orcs and said, oi, don't you gits know we can't survive in space? And then their heads exploded and they all died.
Oh my God.
They stopped believing.
Yep.
You just gotta believe.
Oh no.
Just gotta believe.
No, the horde.
Let's just think that we can survive in space.
There's-
Yeah,
To give you an
you're
idea
right.
of how like ridiculous and over the top and how much I love these guys. In 40K tabletop, there are these things called stratagems, where you can pay points out of a limited amount of resources you get at the start of the game, called command points, to enact cool things. There are orc planes. They're called things like the Boondocka Snaz Jet. Or the Burner Bomber. And they have a strategy called Flying Headbutt, where you can immediately crash any plane and auto-explode it. So you have your bomber and you fly over your enemies, drop all your bombs, and then crash into their commanders. But yeah, I love orcs. They're ridiculous and over the top and great.
Yeah. Right, who are the Tau? They look cool.
So the Tau are interesting. Because they're the newest race in 40K. God, excuse me. I'm getting all stuffed up for some reason. There is actual Imperial records that were found and then lost about them coming up on the original Tau. And then in 1,000 years, they went from a modern civilization to a near 40K level civilization. About a few hundred years. Which is a big deal. And they, as a race, are not connected to the warp. There are no Tau Psychers. They're not soulless like the Blanks are, but they can't use magic. They're not nearly as connected to the warp as a lot of other races. And they live in a caste system. And they use technology. They're like the Gundam, the Weeb race, people call them. They got really big guns and they're bad in melee. Some Tau stuff, they have gunships and they have drones and all this ridiculous stuff. And they all work together because they believe in this thing called the greater good, which is the Tau methodology for how they're going to take over the galaxy and make everything nice. They're basically space commies to a lot of people. The problem with calling them space commies is when the Imperium discovered them, the reason they weren't doing well is because the four castes were fighting each other. And then a fifth caste appeared called the Ethereals, who now are the politicians and the mediators and stuff like that. And within like 10 years, they sort of stopped all of the fighting because they were such good negotiators. And there's this very odd thing where if humans get around these ethereals and around the Tau too much, they'll start to believe in the greater good too. And even odder, if you separate a Tau from the collective for long enough, they'll kind of go back to being very individualistic. I'm sure you can see what's kind of being implied here. There is no lore confirmation that the ethereals are effectively mind controlling the Tau.
Okay.
But everything's kind of pointing to it. I asked, are they hot? And I put the mega good thing too, because there's a really big community meme that like Tau are the like submissive and breedable women. And they will sometimes like use like sex appeal, even though in the lore I think they don't have boobs, to like try to get people on the greater good. It's like a huge meme. But they also have like weird forehead nose slits. So it's like, you know, it doesn't stop me, but it's kind of weird.
Stop me from imagining.
Yeah. So the important thing about the Tau is one of the reasons the Imperium doesn't like them is because too much technology in the Imperium previously led to like a whole robotic evolution. So they're very anti-AI, and Tau are developing really hard into AI and all this tech, and they're worried that they're going to create basically the Terminators, but on a galactic scale, and bring about the end of all life.
Oh, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. But the Tau generally,
yeah.
If you like Gundam, if you like a little bit more sort of Japanese or otherwise armor-inspired stuff, they have like gun walkers, they have battle suits, all sorts of energy weapon tanks and stuff. They're very cool. And they have a subject race called the Kroot, which are sort of like predators, where they're like alien hunters that you can mix with them and stuff. They're very cool. I don't know a lot about them because they're very, very gun focused, and I tend to enjoy some guns and some melee too. The meme is that Tau are very bad in melee because they have to be very good at guns. So Tau is more of we are just going to dump plasma rounds into the problem until it's not a problem anymore.
Respectable.
Makes sense.
Back to the Necrons, because in the timeline, they're waking up. They're not all up.
Oh, no!
But they're waking up right now. So as you can see, I put spooky, scary skeletons send shivers down your spines and also walk like an Egyptian. They are basically very Egyptian themed, and they're robot skeletons. They all still hate the fact that they're robots and want to be organic again. But instead of like doing that in a healthy way, like trying to give themselves bodies back, they just want to exterminate all organic life because they're pissed at it.
Understandable.
The problem with a lot of them coming back is that some of them are coming back early. And when they come back early, they sometimes get infected by this virus called the Destroyer virus, which turns them into like mindless killing machines. And it can infect other Necrons. And considering these people are immortal, you can understand why it's a problem. Because, see, when a Necron dies, unless it's, like, disconnected from the signal range of all the Necron Empire, it doesn't die. It just gets sent back to the nearest planet where it can rebuild. There are even certain Necrons, like Trazen here, who is part of one of the characters in the Infinite and the Divine, who can take over the bodies of other Necrons and basically pre-send them back to get repaired in order to stay in a fight. They don't use any magic, but they have captured gods that they use as weapons.
Christ.
They have Eradicator rifles, lasers that if they hit a human will turn them into dust.
Oh my god.
They are objectively the most technologically advanced civilization, but there's just not a lot of them right now. Like I said, though, they are in the process of waking up.
Okay.
And part of the reason they're waking up faster now is because the Silent King, who, after the original story, when all the Necrons got put to sleep, left, came back. And the reason he came back was because of the Tyranids.
Oh yeah. These guys.
But what they've done effectively is made it so the lower rank Necron is, the less likely they are to have a personality. They'll still have kind of one, but for the most part, they'll just be soldier. However, the nobles and the lords have a ton of personality, and they're all these aristocratic, super, we need to do everything by the book people. In the book, The Infinite and the Divine, it talks about a trial that goes on between two Necrons, and because they're immortal, there's like, we will have the trial in 5 years, and they're like, 5 years? That's not enough time to prepare everything. So their sense of time is all sorts of fucked up.
Yeah.
And they also have started researching the star magic and stuff, and some of them can use it to fuck with time a little bit.
Oh no.
Which leads to some interesting things. But for the most part, they're sort of Egyptian dynasties of these killer robots that hate life. But as you get more and higher up into the lords and stuff, they become a little bit more nuanced. Like, there are times when Necrons have worked with humans. Very short times, but there are times. There's also one Necron who has a permanent group of blood angels that just follow him around, basically. That he's sort of kidnapped, sort of pressed into service, and they, like, fight battles with him.
Oh.
Which I think is still Trazyn. To give you an idea of how much character they put into the Lords, I'll talk about Trazyn just a little bit. Trazyn is obsessed with history. It's completely obsessed. He's trying to rebuild the Necron lineage of history, but also of all the things that are normally going on.
Right.
And he likes living history. So he'll do things like go to a battle, sneak in, and then permanently freeze in time and in everything else going on, a fight scene. And then he'll display it in his museum.
Beautiful.
He has a bunch of...
Oh god.
Yeah, well, they're very powerful. Void Dragon, also, yes. One of the Catan that they don't have captured is called the Void Dragon. And the Void Dragon is very worrying to the Necrons because it's the Catan of machines. And remember how I said that the Adeptus Mechanicus are on Mars? There's hints currently going on, although we have no resolution, that the Void Dragon is at the center of Mars. And you can imagine how they would be worried if the god of machines broke out in the center of a machine cult and was able to control all of the machine people.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Considering they are also robots. Yes. Doesn't he have a Primarch? Not confirmed. There's some community rabble that he might because they think it's funny. But it's not confirmed. Yeah, they're just crazy, super weird, kind of interesting murder robots who regenerate and are effectively immortal. They even have a mechanic on the tabletop that lets them regenerate if a certain amount of them have been killed. Super cool and interesting. Bug Boys. So the Tyranids are important because they are sort of the big bad of 40k.
Whoa!
That's kind of weird.
Yes, because the Tyranids are a newer threat. Not quite as new as the Tau, I don't think. But they kind of just showed up from outside of the galaxy on these ships, which are giant living organisms. And they will send down a hive mind of these bugs to a planet. And they will consume all of the biomass and resources on that planet. Suck them back up into the ship. And then go to the next place. They don't even use warp travel. They have weird gravity manipulation that they use to slingshot themselves. The thing is these Tyranids have come from different directions into the Milky Way. So there is no way of knowing if the rest of everything isn't just more Tyranids. There is a non-zero chance that the Milky Way is the only galaxy that exists that is not just all Tyranids.
Uh-oh.
And like I said, they're hive mind, and they consume, fuck shit up, and they have this innate ability called the shadow and the warp,
Oh,
where they fuck with warp magic when they're near it, which is a problem because warp shit is how you travel it faster than light and also communicate it faster than light. So if the Tyranids arrive at your planet and you didn't see them coming, you may now have no way to escape or call for help.
Oh no.
So like the city just goes dark.
Yeah.
Or the planet just goes dark. Shit, dude. that's
yeah, that's
a
pretty crazy.
lot.
So these hive fleets will just come in and tear up a path, collecting biomass and resources, and also stealing some of the genes and genomes of the shit they run into. And adapting. And they're like a basically sentient disease.
They seem pretty fucked up. I'll say that.
They eat the planet, yeah. When chaos come, they burn everything to the ground, but you can rebuild most of the time. When the Tau come, they convert everything, but you can, fight them off, whatever, rebuild. When Tyranids come, everything organic on the planet is thrown into the biomass pools, which they can then construct spires in so that the Hive Fleet ships can suck them up and use them to make more Tyranids. That includes the Tyranids, once they are done, sacrifice themselves into the Hive pits, so that way they can be eventually reborn as other Tyranids.
Oh my god.
Yucky.
It's like a
Bruh.
flash grinder. Ugh.
Yes. They have a secondary group called Gene Stealer Cults, which is the army I'm currently building, actually. They will send ahead a special Tyranid called a Patriarch. And these Patriarchs have latent mind control abilities, so they will hide in the shadows of Imperial hive worlds or giant planet-sized cities, and they'll start abducting people and infecting them with this thing that basically makes them see Tyranids as a god instead of the Emperor. And they will try to bring in more people into the cult to brainwash more people until they have this weird Mad Max-ish minor revolt cult going on underground. When the Gene Stealer cult attacks, you have no idea who's in the cult.
Uh-oh.
Your supply lines have been cut. All of your trucks have no gas. Everything's fucked up. The only distinguishing feature you have is that as Gene Stealer cults go further in generation, and these people who have been infected mate and reproduce, they become more and more like Tyranids.
Okay.
So they get like extra arms. And their faces become more covered in plates. But it never gets to the point where if you're in like a long cloak or you're hidden, that you can't hide. Until the 4th and 5th generation, where they just become Gene Stealers. Which are a unit of Tyranids that are basically shock troopers. And these people are brainwashed to feel these Gene Stealers as like signs that the Messiah, like these Gene Stealers they give birth to, as signs that the Messiah has touched them, and they must now raise this Tyranid to be the best that it can be because it's a blessing from God. So several times their Tyranids have attacked the planet, and then the Gene Stealer cult has flipped on and started attacking shit around them, and as a result, the Tyranids have won the planet. The problem is the Tyranids just eat the Gene Stealer cult too, because it's more biomass. And there have been accounts in the lore of them going out of their way to turn off the mind control before they do that.
Oh.
So
That's just rude. That's just
yeah,
rude. At
so
that point.
you see God has come to liberate your planet from the oppressors. And then you murder all the oppressors, and then all of a sudden your psychic link to the Tyranid hive mind gets cut. And you realize all the atrocities you've done and that you're about to die.
Oh shit.
It's fucked.
Where'd he go?
The mind control goes
Oh.
so deep that there is a character that is omnipresent in the Gene Stealer cult called the Kellermorph, which is a 3-armed gunslinger folk hero. And all people who reach a significant mental infection by this thing view him as a folk hero because he's fighting the oppressors. To the effect they go out of the way to make him arms and armor and all this shit. And nobody knows if there's more than one Kellermorph, or it's just basically one tyrannid human hybrid who goes around fucking shit up.
I see.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Tyrannids are basically xenomorphs, but objectively worse. Correct. They are an all-consuming tide that will just fuck up whatever it touches, consume it all, and be gone. And every single time a Tyrannid Hive Fleet has been stopped, it required a huge sacrifice on the part of the party. To give, like, Necrons hate people. They hate organic life. But the most of the times that Necrons have worked with organic life was to fight off the Tyranids. Same thing about Eldari working with humans. Other than maybe even Chaos, these are the biggest threat, simply because there is so much that is not known about them. In the lore, we still don't know what the Shadow of the Warp is. Because it's been described as a singular thing, and it's referred to like it's sentient. But we don't know what it is. They're fucking horrifying. And they're really, really cool. But they're horrifying. Yes, so then now I can bring about my favorite lore in 40k, which is basically a Hive Fleet was attacking, and one of the Inquisitors, a very high-ranking person in the Imperium, was like, hey, these orcs are near where these Tyranids are, right?
Yeah.
Let's just have them fight each other, and then we can clean up the winter. The problem is, orcs get more powerful the more fighting that goes on, and Tyranids get more powerful the more biomass they consume. Orcs, since they're fungus, grow quicker than people. They also get more powerful when there's a fight. Tyranids,
so they each other?
For the last 100 years, that sector of space has been considered lost because all it is a progressively increasingly strong orc group fighting a progressively increasingly strong Tyrannid group, and nobody knows how to deal with it.
Yeah.
All they can hope is that the person who wins handicaps the other, because if they don't, shit gets fucked up real quick.
Yeah.
So the Tyranids have met their match in the orcs. No, because that is one small Hive Fleet, and there's multiple. That's the thing that's scary about the Tyranids, is they keep coming from outside of the Milky Way, but from different directions and in slightly different groups.
Huh.
So yeah, it's all Tyrannid.
There is one of the main lore theories right now is the rest of existence is basically just a Tyrannid cesspool.
That's such a shame.
Oh, damn.
However, they do look very cool.
At least they're cool.
So, those
They're
are all of the
cool.
main players in 40k. Does anyone in my chat or does any of my lovely VTuber friends in attendance have any questions?
Let me think about them real quick.
No, it's fine.
Shit's fucked, huh?
It's very bad, but that's what makes it so
Shit's
cool.
fucked.
Is that tell them about Inquisitors and Rogue Traders 1 second. The thing that I love about 40k is that nothing is like half-assed. Everything is so fucking turned up to 11 in metal and ridiculous and dark and cool. And so, like, yeah, there's fucking murder clowns that have wrist blenders that all worship this fucking this god of laughter, and they perform stage plays while murdering people.
It's, I mean this in like the nicest way possible. It's like watching two 5-year-olds be like, "No, I have the stronger character."
If anyone,
No, I do.
if anyone who plays 40k says you are not just painting army men to fight each other, they're wrong. That's what it
Yeah, it
is.
seems that way.
Rackham Frackham mentioned the Inquisitors and the Rogue Traders. Inquisitors and Rogue Traders are basically the highest level you can get as a human. where you are given a certain amount of prescience and benefit of the doubt in terms of being a heretic. Some of them can have Xenos tech weapons, which is normally a no-no. Some of them can co-opt groups of the Imperial Guard or even sometimes Space Marine chapters to go help them out. Some of them have gotten Space Marine armor.
Wow.
And they just kind
Bet it
of,
doesn't
they're
fit as
like
well.
sort of privateers that go around and explore. And it's about the only one of the few existences in 40K that's actually really fucking dope to imagine being. Because you're like, oh, I get to explore this fucked up place, but I always have like resources in case shit hits the fan. Okay. I did mention Space Wolves. They are Viking werewolf Space Marines. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about the Space Wolves. Although I think the ones that I heard today that I think I vibe with the most are the Corvus. The Corvus.
They're very cool, and they actually have their own type of Space Marine armor, which was developed to be lighter. The problem is it was less powerful in terms of like blocking damage, but they accidentally invented Space Marine stealth armor, and the Raven Guard, who are Corvus's group, immediately were like, mine. And now they are the only ones who use that armor. They have armor with like beaks and stuff like that, and have jetpacks that have like metal wings on them. They're super dope, and their color scheme is basically black and white.
Okay.
The Salamanders are a good favorite Space Marine chapter. There's a lot of cool ones. I know mostly Chaos ones just because like that's my jam. But like the Night Lords are dope as fuck because they're like evil Corvus ones and they're all like terrorists and crazy shit. I know a lot of people really like the World Eaters, and what's the other one? That's the people 40K Chaos Space Marine chapter. It's not the black something, because those are just the guys who used to follow Horus. Also, one thing I would like to say is if you like a chapter or something like that and you don't like the color scheme, because of a rule that got instated after the Horus Heresy to keep people from getting too strong, all of the chapters are broken up into subchapters. So there's like special salamanders that have bone growths that make them look like calf dragons. Oh. There's special, like, in anything. Grey Knights, I didn't mention the Grey Knights, you're right. That's, I think, the only major covenant I didn't mention. Grey Knights are a group of Psyker Space Marines who are trained to very specifically fight demons. They are sort of the middle ground between the Adeptus Custodes and the Space Marines, and that there's not a lot of them. I personally think they're kind of cool. My main issue with them is the fact that they, if there's a demon incursion and they're survivors, then those survivors are at risk of becoming demons, so they're technically a liability.
Yeah.
So sometimes they just murder random innocent people.
Oh no.
Yeah. That's the World Bearers. The World Eaters and the World Bearers are different. The World Bearers are all like demon summoners. Alpha Legion is cool as fuck because they're like a sleeper cell Space Marine chapter. So they will like brainwash and fuck with their own mind to go inside the Imperium, and then like they won't even know they're a member of the Alpha Legion. They also Alfarius, who was the Primarch, was a twin Primarch of it was Alfarius and Omegon were the twin Primarchs of the Alpha Legion, and they were both the size of normal Space Marines, so no one was ever 100% sure who Alfarius was.
Okay.
And so all of the Space Marines of that chapter refer to themselves as Alfarius.
Wow. That's really funny.
So they're like, all legions have a chant. Their legion chant is basically like, I am Alfarius, as they are like 100 fucking sleeper cell agents have suddenly been awoken in the middle of your chapter and are currently executing an entire planet. Super dope. Yeah, I think they're called the Obsidian Dragons or something like that, Caleb. Farsight Enclave Best Army. I don't know shit about the Farsight Enclave. I don't know a lot about the Tau. I've never been interested in the Tau. mostly because they did one memes and two that I think being a bunch of brainwashed like people, there's like a limit to the coolness you can do with the lore. I think the whole lore of the Farsight Enclave is through Tau that have kind of somewhat broken out of the brainwashing, but are still supporting the Tau as a whole. So that's kind of cool, but I haven't looked too much into it personally.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Go.
Can you explain the like the architecture and housing of people like the humans or the orcs? Like, how do they live? What do they do?
So, it depends obviously on the race. Most humans and your location. So, there's trillions of humans. So most humans, I think it would be suffice to say, live in what are called hive worlds, which I talked about, which are giant factory planets. So they live in apartments. Not very good apartments, and they're overworked and stuff. And they drink what is called recaf, which is basically imagine half sludge, half coffee, and it's very
God.
caffeine heavy. Yeah, under hives or super stacks, shit like that. That is where
Okay.
most humans live. There is quite a few humans who just will never see the sun in their life.
Jesus Christ.
However, there is also nice planets to live on. There are planets that are basically somewhat like vacation planets, effectively, that are supposed to be reserved for like imperial officers and shit like that. And living on there would be about the same as the life we currently have, or better. And those are like the paradise ones. And if you're a high ranking officer in the like the Imperium or the Inquisition, you might have your own fucking battleship. And these battleships are like, I don't know, big enough that you can't fly them and like land them on a planet.
Right.
Yeah, I live in a rundown shitty apartment, like real shit apartments. Yeah, basically. I'm very excited for Dark Tide, yes. There's also a lot of connected stuff with 40k. Like there's a tabletop game called Necromunda, which is entirely about gang warfare in one of the hive worlds of 40k. And it is super cool.
Cool.
What are the currencies like on the nice planet? So I believe Imperial credits are the general currency for all of the Imperium. But and so obviously those people just have more. Oh yeah, so maybe talk about the Imperial Guard regiments. Yes, so there's a bunch of different Imperial Guard regiments that are built from based off the planet they come from. I'll tell you about the coolest ones. There's ones that come from a planet that is all ice, basically, and they're super Russian, effectively. And so they're like the ice shock troopers, basically. There's one that comes from a planet where basically everything is trying to kill you, and effectively every single soldier that comes from there is equivalent in skill and temperament to Rambo. And there's my favorite ones, which I think are everyone's favorite ones, which are the Krieg. The Death Corps of Krieg belong to a world that tried to rebel against the Imperium and then got glassed. And as a result, they owe a permanent debt to the Imperium, which means about 80% of their population goes in to become soldiers. And since they can't really keep up with that, they were given vats that grow people.
Wow.
Death Corps of Krieg are trained to work in irradiated environments. They are always in gas masks and leather and shit like that. And they are like, their best honor is dying for the Imperium. You can't put a commissar from the Death Corps of Krieg in charge of non-Krieg people, because he'll just start shooting people when they're like, are you sure we shouldn't charge in? We should just literally charge into heavy gunfire to try to get this next place. In the same way, you can't put a normal commissar in charge of a Krieg unit, because when the normal commissar says we need to retreat and regroup, he will be shot because he's a coward. However, one of the things I love about 40k is they give little lore touches. Like, before Krieg was glassed, it was basically a very gorgeous planet. And it was covered in flowers. So one of the highest honors a Krieg soldier can be given is be giving like a pressed flower or something like that, because it harkens back to their homeland, and basically they consider that like, oh, we've done enough good that we're bringing honor back to our planet, in the hope that one day, we won't have to do this. And then there's Cadia, yeah, which was a planet that basically got blown up in an exchange with Chaos Space Marines, and as a result, the Eye of Terror widened a little bit. So if you ever hear Cadia broke before the Guard did, it's because the Cadians and the Imperial Guard fought on that planet so long, the only thing that stopped them fighting on the planet was the literal planet exploding.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a question.
Project Exterminatus. No, Project Exterminatus is just the fact that if a planet is considered lost, there are certain Inquisitors that have the ability to just say that planet doesn't need to exist anymore and just glass the entire planet effectively through various different means.
Jesus.
Inquisitors are given a shitload of power, and some of them are very evil. But the thing is, most of the time, because they're very well trained, they're also kind of right. So there's a lot of Imperial Inquisitors that have been known for like literally ending entire planets worth of people because there was like a gene stealer cult on them or an orc infection, and that was literally the only way to get them to stop that. And then you have some Inquisitors that are evil or at the very least amoral and view everyone as a heretic and just go around blowing up planets. When Sororitas don't have their own army, they exist as troops for the Inquisitors. And the Inquisitors can requisition any force, basically. They're that powerful. They're pretty fucking beefy.
Right.
Oh. You know what the funny thing is? I've sobered
What's
up.
Oh, I
No.
thought you were drinking the whole time.
See,
I was.
you were incredibly cognizant the entire time. Like it was actually really well put
It
together.
takes a lot of whiskey or any alcohol for me to get to the point where, like, I'm not cognizant. I will reiterate, chat, for those of you who don't know, I took 4 shots basically back to back right before the stream started, and I've been drinking whiskey the entire
4
stream.
bowls.
Well, it was probably more than 4
Yeah,
shots
like
because I
sake.
was drinking the shots out of like a sake bowl, but it was like a bigger sake
Yeah.
bowl.
It
40K.
was like a soup bowl.
It was kind of a coffee cup.
Mm-hmm. Please shout out your guests another time. Hey, I'm not I literally just said I sobered up. How would I become non-cognizant if I sober up? You're right, and I will shout out my guests. But before I do, just to make sure if you guys don't have any question, we're gonna go to my works cited, my brain, and fuck you, I'm drunk. I'm not drunk anymore.
But you're
I was
not!
expecting this
You're
to be
a
more
liar.
accurate. I love and I'm obsessed with the lore. The 40K lore is genuinely so fucking good. It's super, 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 super good. Shout out.
Okay, I have one last question. It's not really related to the lore, though.
Okay.
Having it there in advance.
Okay, how do I get into 40K if I have like only $100 and I don't want to spend a ton of fucking money?
I'm glad you asked because I was going to answer this question, but I fucking forgot. So there is a negative mark on 40K that it can be very expensive, and it can be.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is a lot of tabletop war games and shit like that can be very expensive, but there are a few ways to get into it. The first one is I would highly recommend is if you have Tabletop Simulator or something similar. I know Tabletop Simulator has gotten in some hot water lately, so you might not want to support them. There have been mods made by every single person that allow you to basically import models into Tabletop Simulator and play games against each other.
Okay.
There is a few sites, including Wapedia, that within a few weeks of a new codex being released will have all of your army rules too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they do a very good job. If you like both of those and you kind of find an army you like, which I would say is the first step, because the most expensive way to do 40K is the way I do, where you're indecisive and you can't pick what fucking army you want to build. I would suggest a mix of looking for stuff on eBay, because you can genuinely find it cheaper there. Sometimes a lot cheaper, you'd be surprised. And if you have an FLGS, which stands for Friendly Local Game Store, go there as well. It will be more expensive there, but you're also supporting your local gaming community and small businesses and everything like that. You don't have to do it all the time, but if you can, you should try every once in a while, you know? If you only have $100, you will also want to get some brushes and some paints. Start out with a set of Hobby Lobby model brushes, basically. If you take half decent care of them, you can use synthetic brushes. I know people who are YouTuber miniature painters who use synthetic brushes, and people will be like, "Oh, you have to use the hair ones." They're nice, and you will notice the difference if you get actually very good at painting. But for starting out, you don't fucking need them. And you'll want
got you.
miniature paint. Testers is a brand that does very basic miniature paints, or any really acrylic paint will do. The brand I like to use a lot is called Vallejo. It is made for miniatures, and it's a pretty good paint, but it's a lot cheaper than Games Workshop or Citadel's paints. I do have some Citadel paints. I actually have what I did, and I'd recommend anyone getting a hobby to do too, is I got one of those nail polish display racks, and I have all my little paints sitting up there in dropper bottles and shit like that. Vallejo sells sets of miniature paints that will be like 16 to like 24 colors for like 30 to 40 bucks. And those things will last you. I still have my original ones from when I started hobbying for the most part, and I started hobbying around the start of the pandemic.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing I would say is unless you're really sold on playing in stores or in tournaments, you can use non-40K models. It's not a big fucking deal. Most people won't care, especially if you're trying out an army. You can use what are called proxies, which are like, I found these army men that, are much cheaper and I enjoy painting them. Or if you have a 3D printer, you can print them, and they count as Imperial Guard soldiers.
Just go into like a fucking yard sale, grab a army men, and
People do.
just play 40K.
People
It's
do.
like
That's
download a Space
Is it
Marine
pricey?
edition.
Is it pricey if you wanted to paint 40K models? That depends. If you want to paint an entire army, that depends on the army. Certain armies are simply more expensive than other armies because they will have more models. An Imperial Guard army, where you're playing as bog standard soldiers, you're going to have more models and units and stuff in there to counterbalance the fact that on average they're weaker. Whereas if you play like an Adeptus Custodes army, you can play an Adeptus Custodes army with like 20 models or less, but each individual one is very powerful. I ain't gonna lie, you 3D printed some? Yeah, sure, whatever. You would not download a Space Marine? I would. And so like it's not the thing with 40K is that it's like 3 hobbies bundled together. You have the war game, you have the painting, and then you have the miniature construction.
Right.
If you like all 3 parts of that, it becomes a much less expensive hobby because you're enjoying the entire process. If you're only in it for the war game, then like proxy models and maybe use some pre-painted stuff, or you can use basic paint schemes. If you're only in it for the miniature making and painting, there's other very good miniatures, especially right now with 3D printing. It's insane. But if you want to paint specifically 40K models, then, go and buy like a $20 or $30 Space Marine captain and paint him. Like, yeah, it's overpriced, but the Games Workshop still has some of the best models in the business without owning a 3D printer and being able to buy like professionally artist printed stuff. You'll be able to find other models, and if what you're in it is for just the miniature painting, you will eventually find some or find a community that will have some suggestions. I mean, fuck, I know a guy who, as a job, I'm friends with, who makes busts that you can 3D print and paint. You'll find some shit. But if you just like painting 40K models, yeah, just paint 40K models. I'll just model my own and print it. Yeah, you can do that. But yeah, I would recommend that you start by looking into the lore a little bit more. Find an army that you think looks cool, might be fun to paint, and that you think plays cool. Try them out on something like Tabletop Simulator. And then if you still like it, maybe look into buying some paint supplies and then buying like a set of models, whatever the cheapest set is. See if you still like painting both of them, and then you can figure out how much you want to pay for your army and what you're going to do with that.
Okay.
Yeah. You can play 40K these days without spending a dollar on models. You pay like $20 for Tabletop Simulator and the rest is free.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have a question, or more so of like an opinion.
Okay, go Scully.
So I actually thought about this because like I had an old friend that was like teaching me about 40k lore, and I had brought something up because the design of like Blizzard's StarCraft, you have like the soldiers and shit like that. I was wondering if like there was other like fans within the 40k fandom that thought that they were ripping off like 40k.
So
of
fun
that.
fact, they were. It was originally supposed to be a 40k game.
Oh, okay, okay.
So like the reason there's a lot of crossover is because they got like pretty late into the design phase and then they were like, "Hey, we don't actually have the license."
Okay, that makes sense now.
That explains a lot.
I thought that I thought Warhammer was a video game I'm not aware of. I should probably have explained that. I apologize. Warhammer 40k is a selection of lore as well as a tabletop war game where you have models that have stats and various abilities, and you build an army out of them with faction constraints and some other rule constraints, and then you fight them against your friends. It is basically you got your own little army men that you can customize and make your own, and then you have them fight your friend's little army men that he customized and made their own.
Yeah, they also have like books for like the lore within the universe as well, right?
Some
Like-
some of the, if any of you guys listen to Audible, would 10 out of 10 recommend the Night Lords trilogy on Audible if you want to get in a little more with the Chaos Space Marine 40k lore. The Horus Heresy has an entire book series about it. Or if
Really?
you want more, yes, or if you want more kind of silly side stories, there's a lot of those too. There's a lot of contained stories in the world because it's so fucking, it's an entire galaxy. And The Infinite and the Divine is a good example of that. It is literally about two Necrons dealing with politics over the course of about 1,000,000 years since they're immortal. Are you looking forward to Dark Side and Space Marine 2? Yes. I'm very excited for both of those games.
Space Marine.
I'm fucking excited for Space Marine 2.
Yeah.
If you want to just play like a Space Marine game, it's on Steam. It's like probably $10 right now. It's fun. It's really
you
fun.
play as a Space Marine murdering a fuckload of orcs and then later murdering chaos.
Yeah.
It is very
waves and waves.
yeah,
of
Space
beat 'em up.
Marine.
Yeah.
Very, very good game.
Got to play it sometime.
Nothing beats killing health packs. Yeah, you execute people in order to get more health.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, on brand.
On brand.
But yeah, if no one in my chat or anyone else has any questions or other things they would like to say, then I'm going to go through and shout out all of my absolutely fucking awesome and lovely friends who came and let me rant at them today for about 3 hours. So first we have Bone Miser.
Anytime, have all the time in the world.
Yeah. Bone Miser, you do a lot of tactical FPS stuff, right?
This
Like you play a lot of play
yeah, a lot of
outside.
shooters,
You're currently
indie games, that kind of thing.
You're currently playing through fucking Underwater
Control.
game 2, right? Or no,
Oh,
Control.
and BioShock 2, yes.
BioShock 2 and Control. Then we
Yeah.
have so if you like that shit or you just generally like a goofy goblin shenanigans, go check out Bone Miser. Next we have it's Gravity Queen. I think I spelled that right.
We'll find out.
Perhaps he wanted to stop.
Gravity Queen plays a lot of puzzles
Maybe this is a way to
and
speedrun it.
ESO
Wait,
with her
no.
sister,
Yeah.
who
That's
is
how it
very,
counts,
very
is leading
snarky,
it.
and they have very good chemistry. They're very fun streams to watch. And every Friday, you can see me dropping into teach Gravity how to play Bloodborne.
Yep.
Nice.
So she beat Gascoigne in one shot.
I just play a lot of whatever all the time.
Yeah, I love the shark model. Yes, it's very good. The next of my lovely friends is Scully Sinful, who is an artist and an overall wonderful dude and monster fucker.
Doing some
Monster fucker, let's go!
excellent
marvelous stuff they have
much
going on.
appreciated.
Yeah,
At
you have the monster encyclopedia on your desk.
Facts.
Yes, he has a redeem for a monster girl fact. He's a very talented
Okay.
young man. Correct. He did my model, and he does a lot of art, and he's just a generally very cool VTuber, and you shall go support him. And then next we
Wait.
have, yes, you said wait.
I said based.
Oh, okay. And next we have
Very good.
it's his first time on my channel, but I love him to death. I watch him all the time. Oh, did I not do that right? It's spicy.
Oh, no.
What's is
No,
spicy?
Spicy Skelly.
Oh, right. Spicy Skelly.
Yeah.
Me.
Oh fuck! I spelled spicy wrong. Wow. Maybe I'm not sobered up.
It's all lowercase.
Place
too.
Z.
No, that'll work. That
Right.
should work.
Don't
There we
stop.
go.
Okay, you got it this time. You
He
got
is
it this
a
time.
Pure silly.
he's an outlaw
Sure,
and
have fun.
very funny. He's one of those people
I'm
who
a
says they're
silly
going to
gobbler.
play a video game but then talks for like an hour.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, he's just
Not bad. It's
a
not bad.
phenomenal. No. It's not bad if you're entertaining. He's just a phenomenal dude. And I
Thank you.
really enjoy his streams. He's always playing something or doing something fun.
Yeah, if you also like hyper vibes, that I got you.
Yeah. He
Nice.
is he's more hyper than I am most of the time. In a good way. But yeah, I really fucking appreciate everyone in chat for coming out to this, whatever the fuck this was. Maybe I'll do some more of these weird drunken ranting about lore or other shit I'm interested in streams. And invite some people to it. And I really appreciate you
Yeah.
guys for all coming by and hanging out. And I hope if anyone didn't know shit about 40K, they're like, oh,
It was
that's
very
kinda cool.
enlightening.
Or
Yeah, I
if
had no
someone
idea what
knew
the-
something
it
about
was.
40K,
Awesome,
they
thank you.
enjoyed me drunk
My
ranting about
my
it.
eyes have been opened
That's good.
to the horrors of the universe.
Well, you guys
No,
know what
it's
we have
massive.
to do fucking now, right? We gotta
What?
raid someone.
Yeah, we
Who's
do.
on
Who are we
mine?
going to raid? Oh, we can...
Loco Pips is about to stream some
Waka-
Gundam Evolution.
Waka Pips?
Oh, nice.
Loco? You don't know Loco?
Oh, I thought you were saying Waka Pips. I was like, what the fuck
No.
is that?
Yeah, I also heard Waka Pips. I'm
Yeah,
like,
dude,
who?
Waka
Wow.
Flocka Flame?
Wake up!
Dude, you know, Waka Flocka Flame's a VTuber? Incredible. Yeah, Loco Pips. Yeah, we can raid him. So Laco is a Skella homie who I played Hunt with the Don.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that was well. Thank you for the raid, Catbox Danny. We are
Yeah.
actually about to raid someone
We're
else.
about to raid
Raid
Yeah.
train!
Raid
Mine.
train.
Raid
We're
train.
going to raid a Skella homie. So I'm gonna type the /raid. But thank you so much, Catbox Danny. What were you playing today, real quick before we go? You've trapped us in like some weird social constraint thing, where I don't want to leave before I make sure that you're whatever. The more the merrier. Exactly. By the way, before you all go, I should do the influencer thing and announce this. When I get to 400 followers on Twitch, which I'm very close to right now, I'm at like 394, I will be
Holy
doing a say-so stream where I use a PNG made by my friend Scully Sinful of me in a maid dress with titties. I will not be allowed to
Oh my
swear
God.
or say anything
Yes.
unwholesome, but I will be playing Killing Floor 2.
Perfect.
Good.
It's the... Hey, and Coffin's here too. Everyone's joining right now.
Holy
We're about
shit.
to leave.
Aw.
No, you're fine, Coffin. I hope you're doing okay, lovely. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming by.
Yeah.
Coffin is, I'll give her a shout out too, because she's a fellow tentacle tuber who's absolutely adorable and puts on some very fucking good streams. She also has a very fucking poppin' TikTok right now. I spelled Coffin with an E. Holy shit. I promise I'm not drunk. I just
Coffin.
can't spell.
Oh, damn.
Coffin is a dork, true.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, very much a dork.
Yeah.
All right.
Alright. Like,
No
wait, what?
kidding.
Poppin' like codeine. Wait, what? No. Raccoon.
Eh?
No. No. But anyway, everyone who just joined, thank you guys so much. And if you haven't shot me a follow and you want to see me do whatever dumb shit I just said, please feel free to. But, no pressure either way. We're going to raid a good friend of me and Scully, Laco Pips, who is currently about to stream that new Gundam game. He's a Skella homie. He's a great dude, and I would really appreciate y'all giving him some love. The raid message, as always, is Tentacle Raid. Oh, I can spell Tentacle
Can
Raid.
you?
Copy it from there. And we're gonna go give him some love. But once again, I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm really thankful for y'all for coming out and checking out this
Yeah,
really
of
experimental
course.
thing.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And I'm really thankful for all my guests, especially Spicy, who we haven't been able to collab with yet. And he's rad. So hopefully we'll be able to do it again in the future. But
yeah, you better.
you bet. You bet.
better.
You
better.
fucking
I'll
bet.
kill
You
you.
bet. But yeah,
God, they're
I was
fighting again.
I was like 80% sure this was gonna work out, and it looks like it did, and we're always happy to see
Yeah, it
that.
really did.
So yeah, thank you guys all so much, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. We're now gonna raid Lago Pips. Like I said, give him some love and appreciation. And once again, I am No Need for Gravity, and I will talk to you all later. Bye bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
See y'all.